Chapter 627. Although Du Guju had beaten Tai Shichong in the Nine Dragon Lake, Tai Shichong's fame and power were still slightly weaker than Luo Haisong's. Plus, when he beat Tai Shichong, Du Guju had suffered quite a bit of internal injury as well. However, it was different this time. Facing Luo Haisong, who was even more powerful than Tai Shichong, Du Guju had only used 10 attacks to beat him completely without being wounded at all. Regarding this result, everyone could only use monster to describe Du Guju. Only a monster would be able to increase his power by a couple of levels within half a year. In a mid-sized city in the Sky Marshal region, inside the Wind restaurant, inside the massive VIP room, dozens of young men with extraordinary looks were drinking and chatting. Among them, the young man in silver robes was the most eye-catching. He had a silver crown on his head, and his body was tall and muscular. His face was like jade, and his eyes were like stars. His eyebrows were all the way up to his temples, making him look like a dragon flying into the sky. There was a hint of evil chi around him, but at the same time, it gave people a sense of power. On the long table right next to him, there was a bright silver long spear. A silver dragon was coiled around the body of the spear, its head sticking out of the spear. Brother Beiming, right now, everyone is talking about how Lan Xieching and his friends were chased by you for 1,000,000 miles and had to run back to their own martial institutions. It seems like your name has spread out all over the Sky Marshal region. Soon, it will spread out all over the true spirit continent. One of them said to the young man in silver robes. Another person continued, if Brother Beiming hadn't been hiding his strength and biding his time in the Black Warrior domain, how could those self-proclaimed extraordinary young geniuses have the chance to boast about themselves? Brother Beiming, this is called shocking the world with a single brilliant feat. Yeah. I think in the whole continent, only Brother Beiming has the chance to replace the top 5 young warriors. Everyone else would have to step aside. The young man in silver robes was indeed Beiming Hui, who had gained a lot of fame recently. He was 28 years old this year, and was the young master of the Beiming family in the Black Warrior region. He had been learning spear arts since he was young, and he had brought out a powerful spear attack, Skybank. During the battle with Lan Xieching, he had only used the starting movement of Skybank, and it had already made his opponent puke blood. His lips curled slightly as he said lightly, the so-called top young warriors are only in name. They do not even make me want to try my best. Lan Xieching was only a clown in his eyes. In his eyes, Lan Xieching's age, Lan Xieching, had been famous for a long. In his eyes, Xieching, warrior Beiming Qing, Yi Xieching, was. Brother Beiming, although Lan Xieching is not worth mentioning, that Du Gujue is still very powerful. I heard that he had beaten Luo Haisong, who was just as famous as Lan Xieching, with only 10 attacks. When he threw out his 10th blade attack, the whole river was cut in half by him. Since there were people who flattered him, there were naturally people who warned him. Hearing the name Du Guju, the smile on Beiming Hui's face disappeared. Indeed, Du Guju was not something that Lan Xieching could compare with. Fat. Brother Lan, you are just boosting the others' morale. Although Du Guju is one of the top 2 martial geniuses in the Sky Marshal region, he still needed 10 attacks to beat Luo Haisong. So, he should not be that powerful. Brother Beiming beat Lan Xieching in 7 attacks. The first person retorted. You cannot say it like that. Half a year ago, in the Nine Dragon Lake, Luo Haisong had used an attack that would kill 1,000 of his enemies and 800 of his own to beat Tai Shichong. Right now, his power has increased drastically, and he can take care of Luo Haisong within 10 attacks without risking his life. If he uses that attack, the result would be very obvious. As soon as he said those words, the people who wanted to refute him could no longer do so. What had happened in the Nine Dragon Mountain had already been spread to every corner of the true spirit continent by the tens of thousands of spectators. Du Guju's blade attack in such a desperate situation was indeed frightening. Beiming Hui said, Du Guju is indeed not to be underestimated. If there is a chance, I will battle with him and see what kind of monster he is. The North region was basically ruled by the barbarian race. Although the Beiming family was a rank 5 family with a life and death realm warrior guarding it, compared to the barbarian race, it was not even worth mentioning. Fortunately, although the barbarian race did not like the human race, It was not to the point where they had to kill each other. If they really dared to do that, it would not be the human race that would be killed, but the barbarian race itself. Living in an environment like this in the North region, Beiming Hui had felt the power of the barbarian race since he was young. Therefore, he had never stopped trying to make himself stronger. For him, no matter who it was, he would surpass them. Hearing him, everyone was a bit confused. After being together for a long time, they had gradually realized that although Beiming Hui looked very calm and did not care about anything, he was actually very strong inside. If he had the confidence, he would definitely challenge Du Guju. After all, although Du Guju had a horrifying blade attack that could kill 1,000 enemies and oneself, Beiming Hui also had a powerful spear attack like Skybank. As for being completely safe, it was not quite possible, since Beiming Hui was a martial genius, but Du Guju was still the top martial genius of the Sky Martial region. If he improved, so would the other. How could there be a perfect chance? Beiming Hui seemed to know what everyone was thinking, so he laughed and said, "Before the battle with Du Guju, I will have to beat Yi Chen first." What? His words had shocked everyone, and they all looked at Beiming Hui confusedly. Brother Beiming, do not be reckless. Half a year ago, even Du Guju did not dare to fight with Yi Chen, and they had set a 1-year deadline. If you ask me, you should challenge Du Guju first, and then Yi Chen. No one dared to underestimate Yi Chen, not even those people who were trying to flatter Beiming Hui before. Among all the martial geniuses in the continent, besides the top 5 young warriors, only Yi Chen was in the master-level warrior ranking. This kind of fame and power was like a huge mountain pressing on the hearts of all the young warriors. Yeah. Yi Chen is even more difficult to deal with than Du Guju. It is still too early now. No one could understand why Beiming Hui would challenge Yi Chen first. Logically speaking, Beiming Hui should have known how powerful Yi Chen was. Beiming Hui said lightly, "I naturally have my reasons for challenging Yi Chen first." Pausing for a second, Beiming Hui continued, "Let me ask you guys, Du Guju has a killing attack that would kill 1,000 enemies and 800 allies. What does Yi Chen have?" This. Everyone seemed to understand what Beiming Hui was trying to say. Beiming Hui continued to say, "Indeed, Yi Chen was even more brilliant than Du Guju half a year ago. But now, Du Guju is catching up. Even if his overall power is not as powerful as Yi Chen, as long as he uses that powerful blade attack, he would still have the confidence to beat Yi Chen. Plus, Yi Chen might not have made much progress during this half a year. Perhaps his overall power is only at the same level as Du Guju. Once Du Guju uses his ace attack, Yi Chen will lose for sure, and my Skybank will beat Yi Chen as well." Beiming Hui was very clear that with his current power, battling with Du Guju would only have a 50% chance of winning. Therefore, he did not think that there was a need to challenge Du Guju right now. It would be great if he won, but if he lost, it would only make him a stepping stone for his opponent, which would make his opponent even more powerful. On the other hand, Yi Chen had been quiet for half a year, so no one knew exactly how powerful he was. But Beiming Hui did not think that his improvement would be that crazy, and he would have a higher chance of winning than Du Guju. "But Yi Chen is ranked 48th after all," someone said. Beiming Hui smiled lightly. "Remember, this is the ranking from half a year ago. Right now, the ranking will only be revealed in the second ranking." After Chu Zhongtian stayed in the Sky Martial region for a while, he returned to the southern regions. For some reason, he suddenly had the idea of going to the South Rudra region to check it out. Among the top 4 warriors in the southern regions, he was the last one to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Yi Chen was the first, and Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun were the second. Of course, right now, he had already surpassed Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun, and was only second to Yi Chen. Therefore, he wanted to see exactly what level Yi Chen was at, and how big the gap between them was. But he had not decided if he should meet with Yi Chen or not, and if he should challenge him. But if he did not challenge him, how would he know the gap between them? "Whatever, I will go check it out first." Pushing his evil yuan, Chu Zhongtian's speed increased to its limit. Like a dark red shooting star, he sliced through the sky and disappeared within a second. Flying above the Star Regional Lake, Chu Zhongtian frowned slightly as he turned his head to look. In the northwest direction, beams of light were flying toward the South Rudra region. The leader was a young man in silver robes, carrying a bright silver long spear on his back. There was a silver dragon coiling around the body of the spear, with the tip of the spear sticking out. The group of people behind him were all not ordinary warriors. At least, Chu Zhongtian could tell that some of them had qi that was even more powerful than Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun. Young man in silver robes, silver dragon long spear. Could it be Beiming Hui? What are they going to do in the South Rudra region? Chu Zhongtian did not expect that these people were going for Yi Chen. Never mind, they can do whatever they want. I will do what I want. Chu Zhongtian did not think that he would be going the same way as them. Flying past the Star Regional Lake, Chu Zhongtian flew directly toward the mountains where the Murong family was. The Murong family was quite close to him after all. If Yi Chen was there, then it would save him some time. But, if he was not there, then going to the Yi family in the Windy Nation would not be too much of a detour. However, what surprised Chu Zhongtian was that Beiming Hui and the group were also heading toward the Murong family, and they had already noticed him. They are not going for Yi Chen, are they? Chu Zhongtian could not believe it at all. He did not think that Beiming Hui was going there as a guest, and he had never heard that Yi Chen and Beiming Hui were friends. So, excluding this possibility, the conclusion was obvious. Beiming Hui was going for a challenge, or at least a sparring session. A smile appeared on Chu Zhongtian's face. He was still thinking about how to find out Yi Chen's real power, but he did not expect that he would not even need to do anything. Judging from the current situation, Chu Zhongtian knew that he was not an opponent for Beiming Hui and Du Guju. But, he was not in a hurry, since he had just reached the Sea of Soul's realm, and it was the time for him to make rapid progress. Therefore, he only needed to know the gap between them. Beiming Hui challenging Yi Chen would definitely show him the gap. It seems like I have made the right decision this time. Chu Zhongtian followed right behind Beiming Hui and the group, maintaining a distance of dozens of miles. The people behind Beiming Hui noticed Chu Zhongtian, so they said, "Brother Beiming, this person is following us. Should we get rid of him?" Beiming Hui said, "There is no need for more trouble. I am going to challenge Yi Chen, and I am not interested in him at all. If he wants to come, then come. It would be nice to have another audience." This time, he was going to challenge Yi Chen secretly, and only these people knew about it. So, it would not be a bad thing to have Chu Zhongtian, an outsider. Chapter 628. 100 miles behind the Murong clan, there was a beautiful mountain peak. The mountain peak was lush with plants. It was much more verdant and full of vitality than the surrounding mountains. Although the mountain peak was not very big, it still had a radius of 7 or 8 miles. Inside the mountain peak, there was a small valley. The walls of the valley were covered with vines, and red flowers were growing beautifully. Inside the valley, there was a large meadow. The meadow was dotted with countless yellow dots, which were flower buds that were about to bloom. In the middle of the meadow, a young man in blue was sitting cross-legged, breathing the yuan qi in the valley. 2 months ago, the amaranthine nature reached 120%. 1 month ago, the fast profound was integrated into the amaranthine nature. 1 week ago, a new sword movement was born. However, in this week, I only breathed in the yuan qi and felt the movement of the heaven and earth, as well as the vitality of the plants. I didn't practice the sword movement. I wonder if I have made any progress in this sword movement. The fast profound was too difficult to understand. It was not a property, nor was it a tangible thing. It was completely virtual. Therefore, Yi Chen could only understand it by observing the movement of the heaven and earth. For example, when the wind blew, it was the movement of the air. For example, when a bird flew across the sky, it was as fast as an arrow. For example, when plants grew at a slow speed, it was all in a state of motion. Since it was moving, it must be related to the speed. Of course, compared to the slow profound, the fast profound was much easier to understand. As for integrating the fast profound into the amaranthine nature, it was an idea that came to him several months ago. Yi Chen could feel that the simple fast profound was not that useful. No matter how fast one's sword was, it would be useless if it could not break through the defense. However, if he integrated the fast profound into the amaranthine nature, it would be different. The power of the amaranthine nature was extraordinary, and its speed was also extremely fast. If he integrated the fast profound into the amaranthine nature, it would be even faster and more powerful. It was lucky that Yi Chen's soul was so strong that ordinary people couldn't compare to him. Fast power Upanishad, which was something intangible, was easy for him to grasp. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to fuse the fast power Upanishad with the amaranthine vitality. In the past, I thought that the profound of wood and the profound of speed had nothing to do with each other. Now, it seems that they are related. The profound of wood is the profound of the growth of plants. When plants grow, they naturally have different speeds. It's impossible for them to grow all at once. Not far in front of the Murong clan, streams of flowing light flew over. The person in the lead was dressed in silver clothes and carried a silver dragon spear on his back. Feeling that oppressive aura, the Murong family boiled up. It was almost all of a sudden that dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors shot into the sky. Who are you? It was Murong Wu, an elder of the Murong family, who was also one of Murong Qingqing's uncles. Someone right next to Beiming Hui yelled, "Is Yi Chen here?" Murong Wu frowned. "Why are you looking for him?" "He is training right now." Yi Chen would only come to the Murong family once in a while, and this time, he was coincidentally here. "Oh, since he is here, then send a message to him. Tell him to come out and fight." Fight? Who is he going to fight? Murong Wu was not surprised at all. Once one became famous, there would naturally be a lot of people coming to challenge him. Subconsciously, his eyes locked onto the young man in silver. "Me," the young man said lightly. "Who are you?" "Beiming Hui." Right then, a lot of people from the Murong family had come out, including the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui, Suru Hui, and Murong Qingcheng. Hearing him, a loud discussion was heard. "What? Beiming Hui? He is indeed Beiming Hui. Silver robe, silver crown, silver dragon spear. It is indeed Beiming Hui's outfit. I cannot believe that he would come here to challenge Warrior Yi. He is overestimating himself. Warrior Yi has been famous for a long time, and even Dugu Ju would not dare to challenge him in advance. He has only become famous recently, and he had only beaten Lan Xieching, who had lost to Warrior Yi before. What is there to be proud of? Challenging him just like that? Does he think Warrior Yi is their sparring partner?" The name Beiming Hui had indeed shocked everyone from the Murong family a bit, since he was able to chase Lan Xieching all the way back to his martial school. It was not something that normal people could do. But, it would depend on who it was. If he were to challenge Dugu Ju, no one would say anything about it. But challenging Yi Chen would be an act of arrogance. On a cliff a couple of miles away, Chu Zhongtian looked over and mumbled to himself, "It seems like Yi Chen is indeed here. I wonder if he will accept the challenge. I think he will. This Beiming Hui is so aggressive, so he will not just leave like this." "What? Is Yi Chen afraid to come out and accept the challenge?" The man on the left of Beiming Hui mocked. Hearing him, Murong Jishui walked out and studied Beiming Hui and the people behind him before saying, "I am the leader of the Murong family, Murong Jishui. Warrior Beiming, since you want to challenge Yi Chen, then let's set a time. Yi Chen is training right now, so he does not have the time to accept the challenge. Plus, I do not know if he will accept the challenge or not." Beiming Hui sneered, "His time is precious, but is mine not? Why don't you ask him to come out? I will see if he will accept the challenge or not." Murong Jishui's face slightly darkened as he said, "Warrior Beiming, if my information is not wrong, you should have only become famous in the past couple of months, right? That Lan Xieching that you beat had also lost to Yi Chen before. If you think that beating Lan Xieching would give you the chance to fight against Yi Chen, then you will be very disappointed." Beiming Hui squinted his eyes. "You mean that my power is not enough to challenge Yi Chen? Since Warrior Beiming has made it clear, then I will be honest as well. Yi Chen will not be afraid of challenges, but it must be worthwhile. A battle without any value would not interest him at all. If you interrupt his training right now, it would not be worth it for him. Yi Chen was his future son-in-law, so Murongji Shui would naturally speak for him. He did not want any random person to challenge him, since it would only exhaust him to death. Hee. Bei Ming Hui chuckled as if he was talking to himself. It seems like if I do not reveal some of my power, I will not be able to see Yi Chen today. Oh well, before I challenge someone, I should indeed tell them what kind of power I have. If you can take one spear attack of mine, then I will leave right away without saying anything. But, if you cannot, then you should go ask Yi Chen to come out. Bei Ming Hui took out the long spear on his back and held it up high. One attack. Murongji Shui's eyebrows flicked. Although he was not a top master level warrior, it was still impossible for him to not be able to handle one attack. But, just in case, Murongji Shui turned both of his arms into demons, and that powerful demonic Shen Yuan shot out into the sky. Heaven's Edge. Bei Ming Hui slowly spat out the two words as he held the long spear with his right hand, stabbing out a seemingly slow but actually fast spear attack. Father, watch out. Murong Qingcheng's eyebrows twitched as the black bat wings on her back expanded at an unimaginable speed. Her body flashed once, and she was about to charge out. Unfortunately, it was still too late. Boom. Murongji Shui was blown backward with a shocked expression on his face. A circular chi wave appeared on his chest, and in the center of that chi wave, there was a tiny blood spot. Shoo. The winged Murong Qingcheng appeared right in front of Murongji Shui. It was so fast that it looked like she was teleporting, leaving behind a very vivid shadow behind her. Hey! Such a fast speed. Bei Ming Hui was a bit surprised. This Heaven's Edge of his was the starting movement of his skybank attack. With one spear attack, the sky would be just inches away from him. Obviously, although Murong Qingcheng's speed was slower than his spear, it was not that much slower. Of course, it was also because he had not used all of his power yet. Interesting. Bei Ming Hui was starting to get interested in Murong Qingcheng. I am fine. Murongji Shui was afraid that Su Ruhui and Murong Qingcheng would worry too much, so he hurried to say. He was shocked deep down, thinking, such a fast spear speed. I have already prepared for it, but I still cannot see the spear's trajectory. In other words, if he wants to kill me, he would only need one spear attack. One spear attack to kill me. A bitter expression appeared on Murongji Shui's face. Ishi. Su Ruhui ran over and helped Murongji Shui up. Patting Su Ruhui's hand, Murongji Shui lifted up his head and took a deep breath before saying, "All right, I will send someone to invite Yi Chen over right now. But, it is not up to me whether he will accept the challenge or not. Father, I will go." Seeing that her father was fine, Murong Qingcheng opened her black bat wings and flew toward where Yi Chen was training. Soon, she turned into a black dot in the distance. Bei Ming Hui watched Murong Qingcheng's back as a strange light flashed through his eyes. How could this Bei Ming Hui be so powerful? I could not even tell how he threw out that spear attack. It seemed like one stab, and our leader was blown away. Yeah. No wonder he dares to challenge our future son-in-law warrior. Everyone exchanged glances, feeling that something was not right. On top of the cliff, Chu Zhongtian frowned. That spear was too fast, and I would not be able to dodge it. I wonder how powerful it would be. His evil spirit body had a very powerful defense, and even the barbarians, who were famous for their defense, would be child's play compared to him. Therefore, even though the spear was fast, it did not pose much of a threat to him. A couple of months ago, when he battled with Lin Tian, even Lin Tian, who was a body training warrior, was shocked half to death by him. He thought that he had run into a powerful body training warrior. On the meadow in the valley, Yi Chen let out a breath, which touched the grass. The color of the grass looked even brighter, and it seemed to have grown a little bit. Slowly standing up, Yi Chen held a normal long sword in his right hand and waved it slightly. The sword wind was like a gentle breeze, but one could not see its trajectory or shape at all. It was as if one could only feel a gentle breeze on one's face without knowing where it was coming from or how fast it was. It was like an illusion. A horrifying scene happened. Wherever the sword wind went, the grass on the meadow started to grow at a miraculous speed. Within a blink of an eye, it was already knee-high. Those flower buds that had not bloomed yet also started to open. There were 4 yellow petals, and each of them had grown to their limit. With one sword attack, the plants grew, and the flowers bloomed. Ordinary wood profound wouldn't be able to do this. Or, in other words, with Yi Chen's current wood profound, he wouldn't be able to do it. The reason why he was able to do this was because his wood profound had fused with the fast profound, which had the effect of accelerating the growth of plants. Not to mention anything else, just the profoundness of this sword attack alone would not be weaker than the completed gold pattern. But of course, Yi Chen had not revealed the power of the gold pattern yet. Chapter 629. This sword attack should not be called amaranthine nature anymore. Let's call it the spiritual sword attack. The spiritual sword attack was not very appropriate, but it did not matter. A name was a name after all, and it did not really matter what it was called. Putting away his sword, Yi Chen lifted his head and looked in the direction of the Murong family. In the sky, a black dot flew over at a fast speed. Soon, it became bigger, revealing a beautiful body and a huge black bat wing on her back. Murong, what's up? As Yi Chen was talking, Murong Qingcheng had already appeared in the valley. Her black bat wings were flapping slowly, causing the plants to stick to the ground. You should know about Beiming Hui. He is right outside the family right now, saying that he wants to challenge you. Murong Qingcheng said. Beiming Hui. Yi Chen nodded. He had heard about this person before. Judging from how he had beaten Lan Xieching with only 7 attacks, this person was very powerful, even more powerful than him half a year ago. Plus, since he could beat Lan Xieching with only 7 attacks, he must have some hidden ace attacks. Alright, I will go right now. Yi Chen did not care too much about it. Murong Qingcheng wanted to say something, but then she said, you should be careful. He is very powerful. He had beaten my father with only 1 spear attack, and my father could not react at all. Extreme spear speed, eh? Yi Chen had an idea of what it was. Before she left, Murong Qingcheng accidentally glanced at the grass in the valley. What made her curious was that there was a patch of grass that was extremely lush. The plants were all knee-high, full of life. All of the flowers had bloomed, which did not fit in with the rest of the grass. Soon, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrived at the Murong family. Warrior Yi is here. I am so nervous. I wonder how Warrior Yi is going to take on Beiming Hui. He is not that easy to deal with. That spear speed is so horrifying. Yeah, he must have come prepared. Everyone was talking among themselves, and their gazes were all focused on Yi Chen, who was dressed in blue. You're Yi Chen. Beiming Hui looked a bit serious. Although he had chosen to challenge Yi Chen first because he thought that Yi Chen would be a bit easier to take on than Dugu Ju, it was just a thought, and he could not be sure. So, it was necessary to be cautious. Yi Chen said, that's right. Great. I, Beiming Hui, will challenge you right here. I wonder if you dare to accept my challenge. Beiming Hui landed on the ground, holding his long spear in his hand. Since you could beat Lan Xieching with 7 movements, you should be quite powerful. I accept your challenge. His strength should be pretty good. Beiming Hui looked a bit angry. He felt that Yi Chen was way too arrogant. Did he really think that he could beat him so easily? Enough nonsense, let's fight. The long spear was pointed at the ground as Beiming Hui's battle intent boiled. That aggressive Jin Yuan was amplified by his spear intent, extending out countless spear shadows. It seemed like his entire body could shoot out spears, and there were no flaws at all. That sharp aura spread out in all directions. Such a strong spear intent. Everyone could not help but gasp. No wonder he could beat Lan Xieching with only 7 movements. Just this spear intent alone has the power of a peak level rank 4 warrior, which is only 1 step away from rank 5. Plus, it is even more powerful than normal warriors when it comes to using it. Yi Chen did not say anything as he placed his right hand on his gold sword. Kill. Beiming Hui roared as the muscles on his right arm expanded, exposing his blue veins. He threw out a spear attack toward Yi Chen. That sharp spear light was like a silver flood dragon, tearing apart the air and bringing up an ear-piercing metal exploding sound, as if a flood dragon was roaring. Chin. Yi Chen's eyes turned sharp all of a sudden as he took out his gold sword. That gold sword light twisted into an arc, landing heavily on that silver spear light. Boom! The silver dragon spear clashed with the golden sword, and a substantial shockwave spread out. A thick layer of soil was blown up under the feet of the two, and a dark mass of soil flew in all directions. It was a frightening scene. Ting! Dang! Bright sparks spilled everywhere as the two's speed was extremely fast. Within a blink of an eye, they had already switched to 6 or 7 different places, which made people feel a sense of helplessness. Silver Dragon 7 attack. That long spear in Beiming Hui's hand seemed to have come to life. The body of the spear was wrapped in that burning Zhenyuan, making a loud noise as it attacked toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen's expression did not change at all as he blocked out that long spear with his sword. The Silver Dragon 7 attacks had 7 variations in total, and hacking was only one of them. Then, it was a soft whipping attack, which was like a flood dragon waving its tail, slicing through the sky. After the whipping attack, it was followed by random stabs of the long spear. Countless spear flowers filled the air, locking down Yi Chen's entire body. Right after that, Beiming Hui's spear aura changed, attacking toward Yi Chen's lower body before flicking upward. It was an extremely powerful attack, as if it could blow away a mountain. Then, it was followed by a vicious stab, which seemed to be unstoppable. There were 5 attacks in a row, each of which was extremely dangerous. However, Yi Chen blocked them all out easily without using too much of his power. Seeing that Beiming Hui's 6th attack was about to arrive, Yi Chen groaned as he performed his sword steps, jumping right in front of the spear light. His gold sword slashed down vertically, and that crescent moon-like sword light filled up Beiming Hui's sight almost within a second. Not good. Beiming Hui did not have time to perform his 6th attack as he held his spear horizontally, blocking out Yi Chen's attack. Chin. That sword attack was extremely powerful, and the long spear in Beiming Hui's hand had been twisted into a bow. His arm went numb, and although Beiming Hui had blocked out that attack, he had been blown away by that sword power as well, shooting backward explosively. So powerful. Chu Zhongtian, who was watching from afar, squinted his eyes. Yi Chen was way more powerful than he had imagined. It would be fine if he did not fight back, but once he did, Beiming Hui might not be able to handle it. As for those young warriors who had followed Beiming Hui here, they all looked very serious. They did not think that Beiming Hui would be able to win anymore. No matter how good he had thought before, it would all be just a dream. Once they met and exchanged blows, they would realize the gap between them. Obviously, Yi Chen was not someone that could be beaten so easily. Right now, I cannot perform my skybank. I will have to wait until my opponent's mentality drops a bit. Otherwise, even I do not know if I can beat him or not. If it were someone else, Beiming Hui would have performed his skybank without hesitation and finished the battle with one spear attack. But right now, his opponent was Yi Chen, who was even more powerful than he had imagined. Of course, Beiming Hui still had the confidence to beat him. Dragon Transformation Spear Spell. Besides his self-created sky bank attack, Beiming Hui still had another extremely powerful spear attack. Technically speaking, the power of the Dragon Transformation Spear spell was even more powerful than the sky bank attack. However, the latter focused more on speed and accuracy, so it was naturally not as powerful. A woo! A dragon roar was heard. If Beiming Hui's spear art before was like a flood dragon, then the spear art right now was like a real dragon. There was a huge difference between a flood dragon and a real dragon. The latter was more powerful and aggressive, which was the evolved version of the flood dragon. This spear attack was Beiming Hui's peak battling power. Lose. Stopping his backing out, Beiming Hui rushed out toward Yi Chen. That long spear of his formed a massive silver dragon, which roared as it attacked toward Yi Chen while shaking its head and tail. Gold pattern. Yi Chen waved out the gold sword in his hand, freezing the massive silver dragon in place. Then, waves of gold pattern spread out along with the sword aura, shattering the silver dragon without a doubt and attacking toward Beiming Hui, who was not far away. What? You can't block it out. Beiming Hui was shocked. He did not expect that Yi Chen would have this kind of ace sword attack. Under that sword attack, he did not even know how to block it out, and it would be pointless no matter how hard he tried. It was an attack with no answer, and he could only defend passively to minimize the damage. Dragon Transformation Spear Spell. Dragon power. Beiming Hui lowered his center of gravity as his long spear drew a circle around his body. A massive silver dragon coiled around his body, protecting him within as he welcomed the incoming gold pattern attack. Boom. 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 The golden ripples looked magnificent, like ripples in a golden lake. They didn't contain any killing intent, but when the golden ripples struck the silver dragon, its destructive power was immediately revealed. The silver dragon only managed to block it for a blink of an eye before it was shattered and turned into nothingness. Pooh! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Beiming Hui was blown backward with his long spear in hand. His face was extremely pale. So powerful. Brother Beiming did not even have the power to fight back. The young warriors who came with Beiming Hui were all shocked. They had already thought that Yi Chen was powerful enough, and they thought that it was a mistake for Beiming Hui to challenge Yi Chen. Although Beiming Hui had convinced them later on, they still thought that it was too risky. It seems like warrior Yi is indeed powerful. Even this Beiming Hui could not block out his sword art. Warrior Yi is so powerful. I am afraid he even has the power to compete with the top 5 young warriors, although the chance of him winning is not that high. People from the Murong family looked excited. The more powerful Yi Chen was, the more face they would have. After all, when Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng got married, Yi Chen would be the son-in-law of the Murong family, which would be like a family member. Therefore, it was only natural that they would be happy. This Yi Chen is getting more and more powerful day by day. Hee hee. Murong Jishue smiled as he glanced at his daughter who was standing right next to him. Su Ruhui laughed and said, "Indeed." Su Ruhui was a mother-in-law, and the more she looked at her son-in-law, the more she liked him. Plus, her life was saved by Yi Chen after all. On top of the cliff, Chu Zhongtian shook his head and sighed, "The gap is too big. Luckily, I did not challenge him. Otherwise, it would have been a joke." That sword attack of Yi Chen's had the power to wound him badly. Without continuing to chase, Yi Chen looked at Beiming Hui, who had a pale face, and said lightly, "What? Is this all you have? You should just use your most powerful spear attack. Otherwise, I will not show you any mercy." Mercy? Warrior Yi did not use his full power? Everyone could tell what Yi Chen was trying to say, so they were all shocked. Of course, Yi Chen had shown mercy. Otherwise, with the power of his gold pattern, it would not be as simple as just wounding him. Even if he did not die, he would be crippled. He chose to hold back because he did not want to kill his opponent and start a feud with the Beiming family. Besides, he also wanted to see the power of Beiming Hui's most powerful spear attack. Wiping away the blood on the corner of his mouth, Beiming Hui stared at Yi Chen without blinking. "I admit that I was a bit hasty to challenge you this time. But, it does not matter. I will still be the winner in the end. The next attack will be my self-made Skybank. No one in the young generation has been able to take it on. Skybank, a good name indeed. But, it does not mean that it is unbeatable. It is just that you have not run into a powerful one yet." Pausing for a second, Yi Chen continued, "Perfect. I also have a spiritual sword attack. Let's see which one is faster, your Skybank or mine." A good attack could only be used in a real battle. Using Beiming Hui's Skybank to test his spiritual sword attack would be the best choice. Chapter 630. Skybank. Spiritual sword attack. They are going to use their killing attacks. Everyone held their breaths without blinking. Killing attacks were not always about the more powerful they were, but the more effective they were. For example, no matter how powerful the attack was, if it could not land on its target, then it would be useless. It would not count as a killing attack, but Yi Chen's gold pattern attack was definitely a killing attack. Judging on its power, it was even more powerful than the spiritual sword attack. However, he did not want to use it to beat his opponent, since he wanted to know which would be faster, the spiritual sword attack or the Skybank attack. "All right, try my Skybank attack." Beiming Hui squeezed his eyes as he held his spear with his right hand. His toes touched the ground as he shot out toward Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked calm as he took out his gold sword a bit from its scabbard. He then extended his body, attacking toward his opponent like a shadow. His chi was like a sword as he flew on it. Shoo. Both of their auras were extremely sharp. One of them pressed forward with an indomitable will, while the other had strands of sword chi, crisscrossing unstoppably. When the two of them approached each other at an extreme speed, even the raging wind was sliced into pieces, and the place was as still as water. Anyone with a lower cultivation base would feel that time had slowed down. While flying, the silver dragon long spear in Beiming Hui's hand pulled back, and something weird happened. At the end of the long spear, a space pattern spread out, forming a curved shape. It was like a huge bow formed from space, and the long spear was the sharp arrow on top of it. Sky bank, so close. Beiming Hui groaned as he stabbed out a spear attack, leaving no trace behind. Spiritual sword attack. Taking out his gold sword, Yi Chen's right hand looked like it was pushing away the clouds. He threw out a sword attack that seemed slow but was actually fast. The sword wind was shapeless and traceless, looking extremely gentle. So fast. I can't even see its trajectory. Everyone watching the battle was screaming inside their heads. Shoo. The two passed by each other. Yi Chen stood on a small mountain with his back facing Beiming Hui. Beiming Hui stood on a huge tree with his back facing Yi Chen as well. Who won? Chu Zhongtian frowned as he stared at Yi Chen and Beiming Hui. He wanted to see something, but he could not find anything. Murong Qingcheng frowned. Murong Jishui and his wife were holding hands. They could feel the cold sweat on each other's palms. Who? A gust of wind blew past, and the deathly stillness was swept away. What a powerful sword move. It actually made me feel the danger of death. Unfortunately, it didn't hit me. A joyful expression flashed through Beiming Hui's face. The second they exchanged attacks, he was terrified. Yi Chen's sword was like a gentle breeze, turning his killing intent into a gentle breeze. He did not know where it would land at all, and being able to dodge that sword attack was something he did not even know himself. Oh no, Yi Chen's sword didn't hit him. Murong Jishui was taken aback. Su Ruhui tightly held Murong Jishui's palm. Don't worry, even if Yi Chen's sword didn't hit him, his spear might not hit Yi Chen. Putting the long sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen turned around. Oh yeah? You think it didn't hit you? Shoo. Beiming Hui was about to turn around and say something when he felt a chill in between his eyebrows. There was some liquid dripping down. He reached out his hand to touch it and saw that it was blood red. How is this possible? Beiming Hui's eyes were wide open, his face full of disbelief and confusion. If he had been hit by that sword, it would be impossible for him not to feel it. After all, he was not a normal person, and his reflexes were way beyond warriors at the same level. But the thing that he could not accept the most was that the sword had hit right between his eyebrows, which was where the soul ocean was located. But he could not feel it at all. If Yi Chen had wanted to kill him, then that sword would have gone through his eyebrows. The gap is just too huge. Although that sword might not be able to break through my defense, if it were my eyes, it would have definitely blinded me. Chu Zhongtian gasped. He was not afraid of fast attacks, but powerful ones. Only powerful attacks would be able to break through his defense. But Yi Chen had broken that rule. Even if it could not break through his defense, it would still be able to pierce through his eyes or throat without him realizing it. It seems like I will not be able to return this wound to him in a short period of time. Yi Chen had left a cross-sword mark on Chu Zhongtian's chest, and because of his evil spirit body, it would not disappear. Although Chu Zhongtian did not hate Yi Chen that much, and he did not want to kill him, as a martial genius, he would not give up just like that. Even if there was no hope in his life, he would not give up. Brother Beiming has lost. Indeed, Yi Chen is even more horrifying than Dugu Ju. The young warrior who came with Beiming Hui shook his head. Ah! Being ranked 48 on the master-level warrior ranking, how could he be simple? Brother Beiming has lost a lot this time. Woo! Murong Qingcheng let out a breath. She suddenly thought of that lush grassland in the valley. Could it be Yi Chen's work? Formless and invisible. One sword attack without a trace. Beiming Hui turned around and said without any expression on his face, I did not expect my skybank to be defeated one day. Alright, after battling with you this time, I have discovered the biggest weakness of my skybank. I hope that before I challenge you next time, I will be able to defeat it. I hope that before I challenge you next time, you will not lose to anyone else. Bei Ming Hui was very stubborn. Although losing to Yi Chen was humiliating, he believed that as long as he worked hard, he would be able to beat the latter and return the humiliation. This defeat was only a small setback in his life. Plus, he still had to thank Yi Chen. It was because of Yi Chen's spiritual sword that he had found the hidden weakness of his sky bank. As long as he could get rid of it, he would not be the one who would lose next time. It is good to have confidence. But, I do not have time all the time. If you want to challenge me, you will have to see if you have what it takes. The wind blew on his clothes as Yi Chen said lightly. You do not need to worry about me. I, Bei Ming Hui, have always been powerful. I am afraid that one day, when I challenge you, you will no longer be able to interest me. Let's go. After saying that, Bei Ming Hui carried his long spear on his back and flew out the way he had come. The other young warriors froze for a second before following him. So arrogant. Still so arrogant after losing. If it were not for warrior Yi holding back, that sword attack would have killed him. People from the Murong family were not happy about it. Yi Chen chuckled, not really caring about it. There were way too many martial geniuses who had lost to him, and he could not even remember some of them. After the battle between Bei Ming Hui and Yi Chen had ended, Chu Zhongtian turned around and was about to leave. Chu Zhongtian, since you are already here, why not catch up? Yi Chen still thought highly of Chu Zhongtian, since this was an opponent with a lot of potential. Chu Zhongtian shook his head and said, No, I will challenge you the next time we meet. Let's catch up then. As he spoke, Chu Zhongtian pushed his evil yuan and turned into a beam of dark red light, disappearing into the horizon within a blink of an eye. Flying down from the peak, Yi Chen landed on the plaza of the Murong family. Yi Chen, are you all right? Murong Qingcheng walked over. The second when Yi Chen and Bei Ming Hui exchanged attacks, she had opened her demon eyes. However, she could only vaguely see a blurry spear shadow. It was not hard to tell how fast Bei Ming Hui's spear was, which was almost beyond her demon eyes ability. Yi Chen grabbed Murong Qingcheng's hand. That spear attack is indeed fast, but just like he said, it has a huge weakness. Skybank was the fastest spear attack he had ever seen. But, because of its extreme speed, it was moving in a straight line. If it were a straight line, then it would be possible to predict it beforehand. It was exactly because Yi Chen had predicted the attack point that he was able to dodge the attack instantly. Otherwise, he would have to use his spiritual sword to block out the attack, and he would not be able to leave a shallow sword mark on his opponent's forehead. Weakness. Murong Qingcheng thought about it. She also thought that Bei Ming Hui's sky bank attack was too simple. But, it was only for Yi Chen. If it were someone else, they would not be able to react at all. Therefore, this attack might be a weakness for Yi Chen, but it might not be a weakness for others. Haha. Good brat. I did not expect you to reach the next level. Murong Jishui was feeling great. Su Ruhui frowned and said, I have never seen such an arrogant young man before. He does not know how to hold back at all. Bei Ming Hui's last sentence made Su Ruhui a little unhappy. Yi Chen laughed, Auntie, don't worry. If I can beat him once, I can beat him again. One day, he will be desperate. As he said that, Yi Chen was talking with a smile, but it gave people an unquestionable feeling, as if what he said was the truth. You brat, you are quite arrogant as well. Hearing him, Su Ruhui laughed. With such a powerful future son-in-law, she could trust him to take care of her daughter. He has always been arrogant. It was rare for Murong Qingcheng to crack a joke. She knew Yi Chen very well, and she knew that he was a man who looked calm on the surface, but was actually a volcano on the inside. It was just that he rarely showed it, or maybe he did not care to show it. Hehe, you do know me well. Yi Chen suddenly thought of Xu Jing, who knew him very well as well. Indeed, he was not arrogant, but he had his pride. People with pride would never think that they could not do it. All right, everyone, you can all leave now. Go do your own things. Murong Jishui waved his hand to signal everyone to leave, then said to Yi Chen, although you are very powerful, you still have weaknesses, such as defense. Defense is a weakness that sword artists cannot cover up. Yeah. Yi Chen nodded. A sword artist's biggest weakness would be their defense. Sword intent could greatly increase one's attack, but it would not be able to increase one's defense. However, martial intent would be able to do so. Everything had its pros and cons, and it was unavoidable. Although he had the dragon bone defense layer now, it was not omnipotent. If he ran into a powerful opponent, it might not be able to keep him safe. Murong Jishirei continued, "You should know about the Treasure Holy Tower, right? I had been there once before, but my luck was not good, and I only managed to get one top rank item. With your power, however, you should be able to get to the 4th floor and have the chance to get a semi-extreme rank item. Wouldn't it be too dangerous?" Su Ruhui said worriedly. Murong Jishirei said, "For normal master level warriors, there is a certain amount of danger. But for top master level warriors, the danger is almost negligible. Although the danger is low, the most important thing to do in the tower is luck. If you are unlucky, you will get nothing. Plus, you have to be careful of other people as well. In a situation where there are too many monks and not enough meat, the most dangerous person would be the one who goes in. Of course, I'm not reminding you to go to the Holy Treasure Pagoda for no reason. It's just that although the Holy Treasure Pagoda is open all the time, it only opens the 1st floor. The 2nd floor opens in the 2nd year, the 3rd floor in the 3rd year, the 4th floor in the 4th year, and so on. This time, it just so happens to be the 4th year of the new cycle. If there are no accidents, every talented genius will go there. If you don't go, you will be dragged down by them. Of course, I will go. Yi Chen had already planned to go there. If he could get a semi-extreme rank defensive item, it would be very useful for him. It should be known that items were also part of one's power, and absolute fairness would be absolute injustice. Chapter 631. The battle between Beiming Hui and Yi Chen was only watched by people from the Murong family and Chu Zhongtian. The Murong family did not have much contact with the outside world, and Chu Zhongtian was not the kind of person who liked to spread the news. Therefore, not many people knew about this battle. As for Beiming Hui, he would not tell anyone about him losing to Yi Chen. Although he was not afraid of losing, it would be better if no one knew about it. The young warriors who were always with him did not want to piss him off, so they naturally would not tell anyone about it. At most, they would tell some of their close friends, which made the news spread very slowly. In the world of warriors, time always passed very fast, especially for the Sea of Souls realm warriors who had lived for 300 years. Within a blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. On this particular day, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng left for the Treasure Holy Tower in the Sky Martial region. The Treasure Holy Tower was a tower that had been passed down from the ancient times. It had not survived for so many years, and had always been one of the sacred places in the world. The Treasure Holy Tower was located on the broken cliff of the Prisoner Dragon Mountain in the Sky Martial region. The Prisoner Dragon Mountain was a very famous and even evil holy mountain. It was said that it was the place that suppressed the ancient giant dragons, which was why it was named the Prisoner Dragon Mountain. The broken cliff of the Prisoner Dragon Mountain was even more famous, since it was connected to many other mountains. It was hundreds of miles long, looking like a dragon's corpse. When it reached the neck, it would be cut off as if someone had cut off its head. Therefore, it was not the head of a human being that was cut off, but the head of a giant dragon. On the cliff, there was a huge 7-floored tower shining brightly. Looking closely, one could see that there were 7 different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Above the entrance of the 1st floor, there were 4 big words written in gold: 1000 Treasure Holy Tower. Indeed, it was the 1000 Treasure Holy Tower, not the Treasure Holy Tower. Since there were a lot of treasures inside, the Treasure Holy Tower was just a common name. The sky had just started to brighten when people arrived at the broken cliff and entered the tower. Then, more and more people arrived. They were all young martial geniuses under the age of 40. Some of them were alone, while others were in groups. However, they all seemed to be worried about something, so there were not that many of them in groups. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the earth, an important figure arrived. It was the sword sect's Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu glanced at the fourth color on the treasure holy pagoda. His figure flashed, and like a flying sword, he flew into the entrance of the first floor. After that, Bai Wuxue also arrived. Right after him was Xiao Chuhe. Whoosh, whoosh. Two streams of light shot over from different directions in the sky. From afar, one could see that the two streams of light were wrapped around a graceful figure. It was obvious that they were female. When the light dissipated, the two women appeared on the two peaks opposite the decapitation cliff. One of them was Yang Fengfeng, and the other was a cold-looking lady with an evil look on her face and a hot body. Princess Godly Shark. Yang Fengfeng glanced at the cold lady. The glamorous woman was the most mysterious one among the 5 young tycoons, the Godly Shark Princess. She had always been elusive. She would only appear when it was necessary to increase her combat power. Normally, even her shadow could not be seen. The Godly Shark Princess was also studying Yang Fengfeng. She could already tell that Yang Fengfeng was not a human, but a beast body just like her. The difference was that the Godly Shark Princess had already reached rank 10, while Yang Fengfeng was only at rank 9. The two were only 1 rank apart, but she did not dare to underestimate Yang Fengfeng. From Yang Fengfeng's body, she could sense that kind of noble qi. It was not hard to imagine that Yang Fengfeng's real body must be very powerful. Once she showed her real body, her battling power would increase drastically. The two looked at each other but did not say anything. They flew toward the tower one after another, disappearing from the entrance of the first floor within a blink of an eye. As the sun rose up, more and more famous young warriors arrived. There were Lan Xieching, Lin Tian, Lin Ku, Luo Haisong, Hai Wuya, as well as Dugu Ju, Beiming Hui, and Chu Zhongtian. Right after them, Dan Tai Mingyu, who was wearing red robes and had a red veil on her face, had also arrived. So many people. Almost all of the famous young martial geniuses are here. On top of 2 big trees not far away stood 3 people: Jing Aoshuan, Li Xiaoyun, and Li Xiaoyun's girlfriend, Yu Xin. Jing Aoshuan and Li Xiaoyun were already master-level warriors, and Li Xiaoyun's girlfriend, Yu Xin, seemed to have started to train Jin Yuan as well. Right now, she was at mid-astral reaching realm. In just a couple of years, she had managed to reach this level from someone who did not train Jin Yuan at all. It was all thanks to her powerful soul, and her mental attack power was even more unbelievable. She was born with a high cultivation, and with Li Xiaoyun's support, it would not be an exaggeration for her to reach mid-astral reaching realm. After all, Yu Xin mainly trained mental power, and Jin Yuan was only used to strengthen her body for her. With our power, the 4th floor is too dangerous. Let's just stay on the 3rd floor. Jing Aoshuan had never given up. Sooner or later, she would become one of the top young martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. But now was not the time. Her comprehensive ability and talent were not the best in the whole continent, and her body talent was not as good as Chu Zhongtian's as well. Therefore, all that was left for her was hard work. Li Xiaoyun was the same as Jing Aoshuan. He was very open-minded. The 3rd floor is not bad either. The chance of getting top-rank weapons is not small. If we are lucky, we might even get a set of top-rank weapons. The 1st floor of the tower only had top-rank weapons. The 2nd floor had a certain chance of getting top-rank weapons, and the 3rd floor had an even higher chance of getting top-rank weapons. There was even a small chance of getting a whole set of top-rank weapons. As for the 4th floor, there was a chance of getting half-extreme rank weapons and a whole set of top-rank weapons. However, it was also quite dangerous. Only top master-level warriors would be able to protect themselves. If they were unlucky, even top master-level warriors would fall, and normal master-level warriors would not be able to make it out alive. After the 3 of them entered the tower, from the south, 2 human figures walked over hand in hand. It was indeed Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. So this is the tower. It was Yi Chen's first time coming here. Murong Qingcheng said, "Don't you feel that this tower is like an artifact? However, it is much more powerful." Yeah. Yi Chen had also sensed that the tower was emitting a 7-colored light that was similar to the vibration of a great artifact. However, that vibration had already solidified into a bright light, which was even more powerful than the extreme rank weapons. It was hard to imagine what kind of thing it was. No wonder even life and death realm warriors could not get in. Shoo! A beam of gold light shot over. Yi Chen turned his head and looked over, then said, Xia Hozuan is here. Xia Hozuan was wearing a gold robe and a gold crown on his head, which was very similar to Beiming Hui, who was wearing a silver robe and crown. However, compared to Beiming Hui, Xia Hozuan looked even more aggressive. As his eyes opened and closed, the gold light shone everywhere. That aggressive aura of his had not decreased even after losing to Bai Wuxue. It was obvious that Xia Hozuan had recognized Yi Chen. After all, Yi Chen was the only martial genius who had made it into the master-level warrior ranking besides the top 5 young warriors. It would be a lie if Xia Hozuan said that he did not know him. However, it was only an acquaintance, and he did not pay too much attention to Yi Chen. For him, the top 5 young warriors would be unshakable in the next couple of years, even if they were powerful martial geniuses. That Lin Tian who had the highest chance of making it to the top had challenged Xiao Chuhe, but the result was that he could not even handle 3 attacks when Xiao Chuhe was slightly serious. Therefore, right now, Yi Chen was not worth Xia Hozuan's attention. Without any hesitation, Xia Hozuan's body flashed like a beam of gold lightning as he flew into the entrance of the tower's first floor. Let's go in as well. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng entered the tower together. There was a universe inside the tower, and the first floor contained a small world, which was a world of fire and lava. As far as the eye could see, there was nothing but dark red and bright lava everywhere. The heat was so hot that any astral-reaching realm warrior would probably be roasted to death inside. Even Sea of Souls realm warriors would not feel good under the protection of their protective Jin Yuan, and their bodies would start to sweat. So hot. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had just entered when they felt the temperature change drastically, reaching a horrifying level. Putting up their protective Jin Yuan layer, the two finally felt a bit better. Luckily, we can leave anytime we want, or go to the second floor. Otherwise, if we stay here for a couple of months, our bodies would definitely collapse. The two flew for a while, and they could occasionally see 1 or 2 human figures. One of them had an ice element Zhen Yuan layer, and did not seem to be uncomfortable at all. Yi Chen chuckled and continued to move forward. Above the world of fire was a red qi flow. Occasionally, there would be red meteors falling from the sky, rubbing against the air and bringing up burning waves of fire. The higher they went, the denser the meteors were. Although Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng could handle it, they did not want to suffer like this. Therefore, the two kept close to the lava lake as they moved forward, maintaining a height of 100 meters. Swoosh! A wave appeared on the surface of the lava lake as a fire element beast with red scales all over its body jumped out, biting toward Murong Qingcheng who was the closest to it. Boom! Murong Qingcheng threw out a palm attack onto the beast's head, pushing it into the lava lake. This defense is very powerful. Murong Qingcheng frowned. She had used 50 to 60% of her power in that palm attack, but it still could not hurt the beast at all. It was not hard to imagine how powerful the beast's defense was. It seemed like the first floor of the tower would not be that easy to get through. Without the power of spirit warriors, it would be hard to move forward. We're at the entrance of the second floor. Yi Chen saw a white door in the air in front of him, releasing waves of cold air. Shua! The two jumped into the door. Hoo 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 hoo, the cold wind was biting cold, and the snow was everywhere. If the first floor was a world of fire, then the second floor was a world of ice and snow. The temperature suddenly changed from burning hot to extreme cold. It was like the 9 heavens of ice and fire. In the white sky, the two seemed very small, and under the cover of the snow, they could barely be seen. Crack! An ice elemental snake-type beast drilled out of the ground and jumped up. It opened its mouth and spat out a cold yarrow chi. Caught off guard, they were about to be caught off guard. Taking out the gold sword, Yi Chen casually chopped off the head of the ice snake. Hey! Ice spirit, high-rank weapon. The ice snake was not a normal beast, but a life form formed from ice elemental chi. Therefore, chopping off its head would not kill it. Moreover, from the ice snake's wound, a beam of light suddenly shot out. It was a high-rank weapon. Grabbing the high-rank weapon, Yi Chen said curiously, could it be that the beasts inside the tower would hide their weapons in their bodies? Yi Chen guessed wrong. The weapons inside the tower were not fixed. Maybe by breaking an ice mountain, one would be able to find a weapon inside. If one went underground, one would also be able to find a weapon. As for the bodies of beasts, there were very few weapons, and this ice snake was an exception. Chapter 632. Although the second layer of the ice world might have a chance to get top-rank weapons, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng did not care about that, so they went straight to the entrance of the third layer. The first two layers were the fire world and the ice world, but the third layer was different. The whole place was filled with crystal clear qi flow, which was as thick as water, covering every inch of the space. Besides this crystal clear qi flow, there was no yuan qi in the third layer. Without yuan qi, it meant that the warriors could not convert the natural yuan qi into Jin yuan, which made it a dangerous place. No yuan qi, but full of treasure qi? Yi Chen could tell that this crystal clear qi flow was extremely rare treasure qi. Back in the crafting room on the Treasure River Island, he had collected some of it and stored it in his storage ring, using it to nourish his Thunder Disaster Sword and Gold Sword. After all, the weapons had their own durability. After a long time, or two intense collisions, they would still be damaged. Some of the minor damages could not be seen with the naked eye, and could only be repaired with treasure qi. Besides, treasure qi could also improve the weapon's quality to a certain extent. For example, a normal top-rank weapon might become a mid- or top-rank weapon after being nourished by treasure qi for a long time. Murong Qingcheng flew out a couple of miles, then turned back and said with a frown, the speed is only about 50% of the outside world. The third layer is already this powerful. I am afraid the fourth layer would be even worse. Although the third layer was not life-threatening for top master level warriors, it was only when they used all of their power. If they were not careful enough, there was still a small chance that they would die. Yeah. Flying at a low altitude, Yi Chen lifted up his head, and the wide gold sword on his waist suddenly took out of its scabbard. Dang! The gold sword blocked out the sudden treasure light attack. Yi Chen's body shook a little, and he could not help but fall down. Eventually, he landed on the ground steadily. Such a powerful attack. Even if it was not at the top master level, it was at least 60 to 70% of a top master level warrior's attacking power. I was caught off guard, so I did not even get to use 50% of my power. There was only one danger in the treasure qi world, which was the treasure light attacks that could appear at any time. These treasure light attacks were made of highly compressed treasure qi, and the surroundings were filled with treasure qi. The attacks were silent, and even soul power would not be able to detect them. The good thing was that the treasure light attacks were not dense, and it was the first time for the two of them. Are you all right? The treasure light attack was too sudden. Murong Qingcheng tilted her head and realized that Yi Chen had disappeared. In terms of danger perception, she was still a notch lower than Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "It's nothing. The treasure aura in the air is too dense, it's affecting my perception. It's best if we go a bit lower. This way, there shouldn't be too much danger." The higher one went in the treasure qi world, the denser the treasure qi, and the weaker the soul power. But at the bottom, the treasure qi was very thin, and the resistance was also very small. Just as Yi Chen had guessed, flying close to the ground reduced the danger by more than half. If there was a treasure light rushing over, the two of them would be able to sense it in advance. They could either dodge, shatter, or accelerate. There were many ways to deal with it, unlike the first time. We've reached the entrance to the fourth floor. Roughly 2 hours later, the two of them found the entrance to the fourth floor. It was a gate condensed from precious energy, and it was extremely gorgeous. Buzz! Just as the two of them were about to reach the entrance, the treasure qi on both sides of the gate suddenly condensed together, forming into two living beings. The living beings were humanoid, almost 3 meters tall. Their eyes were like diamonds, shining with a sharp light. Boom! The living being on the left flashed its body, throwing out a punch towards Yi Chen. The powerful fist wind was like a bone-piercing steel blade, it was very condensed. Gold pattern. Yi Chen did not have the time to waste with his opponent, so he directly used his killing attack. He waved his gold sword, and the gold pattern spread out, looking very beautiful. Boom, 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 boom. How could the living being withstand the attack of the gold pattern? It collapsed instantly, turning back into the crystal-clear treasure chi. On the other side, Murong Qingcheng was also fighting with the living being. Flying sky assassination cut. Spreading his black bat wings, Murong Qingcheng's speed increased to a new level. Suddenly, there seemed to be more than 100 of him, attacking the living being from all directions. Every 3 attacks, there would be a wound on the living being's body, causing it to shake violently. However, although the living being was not as powerful as a top master level warrior, it was very close. The flying sky assassination cut seemed to be very efficient, but it was not powerful enough to severely injure the living being. Swoosh. Let me take care of it. Yi Chen could tell that Murong Qingcheng would need a long time to take care of the living being. His body flashed, and his gold sword sliced out like it was slicing through the clouds. Swoosh. This time, Yi Chen used the spiritual sword art. The living being did not even have time to react before its head was cut off. What surprised Yi Chen was that the living being did not disappear. Its head reattached, and it continued to fight with Murong Qingcheng, not caring about Yi Chen at all. Could this be a test? I have to take care of this living being on my own. Yi Chen looked confused, and he stopped attacking. Seeing that Yi Chen's attacks were not working, Murong Qingcheng knew that she had to take care of it on her own. In order to not waste time, Murong Qingcheng first performed the dark sky curtain to stop the living being for a second. Then, she opened her black bat wings to their limit. Streams of black light flowed through her bat wings and into her body. Finally, they gathered at the tip of her finger. Sky Demon Finger. She pointed out her finger, and the black finger power landed on the living being's chest. A black sun rose up, and the living being was turned into nothingness. After taking a few deep breaths, Murong Qingcheng said, "Let's go in." The Sky Demon Finger was a martial art she inherited from the demons after she awakened her talent. It needed to use the special power of the black bat wings on her back. Every time she used it, it would be consumed. She rarely used it unless she had no other choice. Swoosh, swoosh. The 2 of them entered the 4th floor. Waiting until the 2 had left, a couple of human figures appeared nearby. That Yi Chen is so powerful. I could not even handle one attack from this living being, and he managed to kill it within seconds. Plus, the first attack was already so aggressive, and the second attack was so fast that there was no trace of it at all. Both of them were extremely horrifying killing attacks. This is so powerful. Yeah, we have been watching here for a long time. A lot of the young warriors who had entered the 4th floor had used their killing attacks. Not to mention the top 5 young warriors, that Beiming Hui and Dugu Ju are also very powerful. They did not even bother to look at it before killing the living being with only one attack. Yang Fengfeng's power has been underestimated by everyone. She did not even change her body, but with just a flap of her fire wings, the living being had been burned into nothingness. These people had been hiding nearby the whole time. For them, seeing the top young warriors perform their killing attacks might give them some inspiration, and allow them to create their own powerful attacks. They did not expect to be as powerful as Yi Chen and the rest, but as long as they could beat the young warriors at the same level, it would be enough. The 4th floor was an extremely dangerous place. The treasure chi in this place was not that rich, and the visibility was very high. But, as far as the eye could see, there were all kinds of treasure chi living beings of different levels. The energy vibration coming from them varied in strength. The weakest one was equivalent to the one guarding the entrance of the 4th floor, while the most powerful one was not any weaker than the barbarian who had chased after Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng before. It was almost at the half-step king warrior level. Bastard! He has been chasing me for thousands of miles. All of the warriors who had come to the 4th floor were top young warriors, but the scene was extremely chaotic. Some of them had joined hands to fight against the living beings, while some of them were fighting alone. There were even some who were being chased by the living beings and had to run for their lives. Yeah, this living being is holding a top-rank weapon. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had just arrived at the 4th floor when they were attacked by a living being. It was almost 3 meters tall, holding a dark blue long spear in its hand. The vibration of a weapon was extremely intense, and the tip of the spear was extremely sharp. Awoo! The living being screamed and attacked toward the two. Yi Chen's expression did not change as he held the gold sword in his right hand and waved it gently. The sword chi was like a gentle breeze, and it reached the living being within a second. Crack! The head of the living being was blown into the sky, having been killed within a second. Although it was called a living being, it was actually more like an energy body, since it did not have a soul. It was just that it was covered by the rules of the tower, and had naturally formed a body to attack living beings. Therefore, as long as the attack power was high enough, it could be killed within a second. Of course, if the attack power was not high enough, then even 100 attacks would not be enough, since it would absorb the natural treasure chi to heal itself. After killing the living being that was attacking them, Yi Chen waved his left hand, and the dark blue long spear that had fallen to the ground flew over and landed in his hand. It is indeed a top-rank weapon. Yi Chen studied the long spear for a while before putting it into his storage ring. After that, the two did not run into any other living beings with weapons. It seemed like it was just like what Murong Jishire had said, coming to the treasure holy tower would depend on one's luck. If one's luck was not good, then one might end up with nothing. But if one's luck was good, then one might be able to get a semi-extreme rank weapon. Boom! Inside a massive valley, Yang Fengfeng studied the treasure chi lifeform in front of her with a serious expression. This lifeform was very small, only about 1 meter and 80 centimeters tall. Its body shone with a diamond-like light, which was a couple of times more powerful than normal lifeforms. The luxurious blue armor on the living being's body was giving off a very powerful vibration. It was actually a semi-extreme rank defensive armor. Yang Fengfeng's attacks had all been blocked out by the blue armor, and she had not been able to hurt the living being at all. Instead, she had been punched once. Shriek! With a roar, Yang Fengfeng shot into the sky while an endless blue light shone out of her body. Waiting until the light disappeared, a massive blue phoenix appeared in the sky above the valley. That burning blue flame wrapped around the phoenix, and even its eyeballs were burning. Woo! She flapped her wings, and that blue flame wave was brought up along with a powerful wind, blowing away the living being. Meanwhile, the phoenix turned into a beam of blue flame and appeared above the living being within a second. Its massive claws grabbed onto it, and with a pull, both of the living being's arms had been torn off. It was not over yet. The phoenix pecked with its beak, and the head of the living being had also been pierced through. The next second, the living being disappeared completely. Just when Yang Fengfeng was about to grab onto the blue armor, a shooting star finger power shot over, blowing away the armor. Haha, my luck is not bad. I have only been here for a while, and I have already run into a semi-extreme rank weapon. On the wall of the valley, a young man in gold robes appeared. It was indeed Xia Hozuan. The blue phoenix spat out human eyes. Xia Hozuan, what do you mean? Treasures belong to those with power. You should know this. Chapter 633. Half-step extreme-grade artifacts were not that easy to obtain. Among the geniuses of Sky Marshal region and even the whole continent, there weren't many who possessed half-step extreme-grade artifacts. Most importantly, half-step extreme-grade artifacts had their own differences. Generally speaking, defensive artifacts were at least twice as valuable as offensive artifacts. Currently, the number of people who possessed half-step extreme-grade defensive artifacts did not exceed one's fingers, and Lin Tian was one of them. During the battle at the Nine Dragon Lake, if Xia Hozuan had a semi-extreme rank defensive weapon, then Bai Wushue's last attack would not have wounded him so badly. Therefore, this semi-extreme rank defensive weapon in front of him was something that Xia Hozuan had to get. Shriek! The blue phoenix did not say anything more to Xia Hozuan. She flapped her wings that were covered in blue flame and caught up to the blue armor that had been blown away. She then threw out a claw attack. You are looking for death. The things that I have my eyes on, no one has ever been able to take them away from me. Although Xia Hozuan's speed was not as fast as the blue phoenix, which was Yang Fengfeng, but the shooting star finger power that he had shot out was more than enough. It was like the most shooting star shower in the past thousands of years. Among all the shooting star finger powers, there was also a massive bright comet that was even faster and more aggressive than the shooting star finger power. It attacked toward the blue phoenix who had been possessed by the flame. With this much shooting star finger power, even the top 5 young warriors would not dare to use their protective Jin Yuan to take it on, not to mention that there was still another one that was 10 times more powerful and aggressive than the shooting star finger power. Yang Fengfeng knew that if she did not care about it, she would indeed be able to get the blue armor. But she would be wounded as well, and that was only because she was a blue phoenix. If it were the top 5 young warriors, they would definitely be wounded more severely than her. Once wounded, she would not be Xia Hozuan's opponent at all, and she would not be able to increase her speed. Therefore, she could only try to dodge, using her extreme speed to dodge. Shoo! A blue fire line flashed once as Yang Fengfeng dodged the incoming finger power. In the next second, the valley beside her seemed to have been eroded by the wind, completely disappearing. That comet finger power had even created an immeasurably deep pit on the ground, going all the way down to the bottom. After forcing back Yang Fengfeng, Xia Hozuan's body suddenly moved as he reached out to grab the blue armor. Major Phoenix cut. Yang Fengfeng was not someone who did not know how to fight back. She flapped her wings and 2 massive flame beams tore through the sky. One of them was attacking in front of Xia Hozuan while the other was attacking toward him. As long as he continued to move forward, it would be hard to guarantee that he would not get wounded. How dare you? Xia Hozuan was furious. He reached out his left index finger and pointed in the air. All of a sudden, an endless gravitational force appeared 3 feet away from his fingertip. That fire stream was still able to maintain its shape when it was far away, but once it got closer, it would be pulled down by that gravitational force and condensed into a blue light ball. The ball was getting bigger and bigger, which meant that more and more energy was being pulled over. Puff! The fire attack that was attacking toward Xia Hozuan suddenly disappeared like a bubble while the other one was only left with a third of its original size. It clashed with Xia Hozuan who was still moving forward, the intense fire wave almost burning the entire sky. It seemed like a lot of movements, but it had all happened within a second. Although Xia Hozuan had taken care of one of the fire attacks with his star nuclear finger art, the second one had been broken down by him as well. But Yang Fengfeng's real body was extremely powerful, and the power contained in those 2 fire attacks was even more powerful than by Wushue's. Therefore, Xia Hozuan's star nuclear finger art did not even have the time to pull them all out before he was blown away by the remaining fire attack. Go! Explode! Within the fire wave, Xia Hozuan's voice was heard. That blue light ball that was floating in the air shot toward Yang Fengfeng like a shadow before exploding violently. A massive mushroom cloud of fire covered the entire sky, and the whole valley had been destroyed by that aggressive blast wave. Shoo! Yang Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled in the world. Since she had moved first, the blast wave could not catch up with her immediately. By the time the blast wave had caught up with her, its power had already been reduced by 90%. The remaining 10% could only shake her body a couple of times and drop 1 or 2 feathers. Her phoenix eyes turned blue as she stared at Xia Hozuan who was walking out of the fire wave. Xia Hozuan was fine, and the weakened fire attack would not be able to break through his protective Jin Yuan to hurt him. All right. She is indeed the blue phoenix. Her beast Yuan is so powerful that even my star nuclear finger art could not handle it completely. Xia Hozuan looked a bit serious. Before, his star nuclear finger art was able to suppress by Wuxue, and he thought that it would be easy for him to deal with Yang Fengfeng. But who would have thought that Yang Fengfeng and Bai Wuxue would be completely different? The beast Yuan inside her body was extremely powerful, and the fire attack that she had shot out contained a terrifying amount of power. On the other hand, his star nuclear finger art had its limit, and could not handle endless power. To put it simply, Yang Fengfeng, who had a huge amount of beast Yuan, would not be suppressed by his star nuclear finger art. Yang Fengfeng said lightly, Xia Hozuan, since this semi-extreme rank defensive item was discovered by me first, then no matter who it is, they would not be able to get it for free. You can try. "Oh, you can handle my star nuclear finger art, but I wonder if you can handle my void-shattering finger art." The star nuclear finger art was not an attacking martial art, and the void-shattering finger art was Xia Hozuan's most powerful attacking martial art. Even Bai Wuxue would have to use all of his power to handle it. Of course, Yang Fengfeng flapped her wings at an even higher frequency. That burning blue flame burned the air like boiling water, seeming like it would shatter at any second. She was very clear about the power of the void-shattering finger art. Not only did it have a high attacking power, but it was also very fast. In other words, among the top 5 young warriors, Xia Hozuan's void-shattering finger art was the most troublesome one for her. Of course, if she wanted to leave, then she would not be afraid of anyone. But now was not the time. Xia Hozuan's expression turned cold. He had decided to teach Yang Fengfeng a lesson. In his opinion, besides the other 4 of the top 5 young warriors, no one would dare to go against him. At the same time, Yang Fengfeng was also ready to explode at any second. Although she was very fast, her opponent was still one of the top 5 young warriors. Woo! While the atmosphere was tense, the distant sky was suddenly dyed a sparkling green. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a piece of green jade. A majestic wave swept out in all directions, causing the space to tremble and ripples to ripple like water. The 4th level palace has appeared. Xia Hozuan's expression changed as he hesitated a bit. Yang Fengfeng had also seen the change in the distance. But, before she left, she had to get that blue armor, since it belonged to her. "Yang Fengfeng, I will let you go this time. But if we meet again in the future, I will definitely fight with you." After saying that, Xia Hozuan did not linger for the blue armor anymore. His gold light flashed once as he flew toward the source of the vibration. Soon, he pushed his speed to its limit and disappeared into the sky. Woo! Letting out a deep breath, Yang Fengfeng's body suddenly shrunk and turned into her human form. She dove down and grabbed the blue armor. The 1st level of the tower is open all year round, and the 2nd level will only open in the 2nd year, which is only for 1 month. The 3rd level will open in the 3rd year, which is also for 1 month. Within this month, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels will all be connected. After this month, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels will all be closed, and will only open in the 5th year. But, the 4th level palace is where the essence is, and the chance of getting semi-extreme rank weapons or a whole set of top rank weapons is the highest. There is no reason for me to give it up. Yang Fengfeng had not been to the 4th level palace yet. Shoo! Yang Fengfeng flew toward the direction where Xia Hozuan had left. After a couple of days, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had only gotten 2 top rank weapons, one from the 2nd level world and the other from the 3rd level world. Although the top rank weapons were great, but the 2 already had them, so they did not care about them at all. Their purpose for coming here was to get a semi-extreme rank weapon. "It seems like we have not had much luck lately," Yi Chen said helplessly. Murong Qingcheng was about to say something when she suddenly noticed that the sky had changed color. It had turned into a green jade. "Look over there. Perhaps the 4th level palace has appeared." Yi Chen's eyes shrunk. Before coming here, Murong Jishui had told them that there would be a palace on each level. Although there were not that many weapons inside, most of them were top quality. But right now, it was no longer about luck, but power. Without enough power, one would not have the right to get a share. "Let's go." The 2 did not stop and flew out. The majestic palace stood tall on the ground. The color of the palace wasn't green. Instead, it was crystal clear as if it was condensed from the aura of treasures. However, the light emitted by the palace wasn't crystal clear. Instead, it was an extremely pure emerald green. There were a lot of people gathered in front of the palace. They were all famous young warriors of this true spirit continent, such as Dugu Ju, Beiming Hui, Dantai Mingyu, Lin Tian, and Lan Xieching. Shoo! 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 Countless human figures flew over. There were the top 5 young warriors, as well as some unknown but extremely powerful young warriors. They seemed to be the same as Beiming Hui, who had just arrived in the Sky Martial region and was still trying to make a name for themselves. Seeing so many powerful warriors, Lin Tian and the rest's expression changed slightly. Not to mention the top 5 young warriors. Where did all these top young warriors come from? They had not even seen some of them before. It seemed like this true spirit continent was not as simple as it seemed. All the hidden warriors had shown up one after another. Everyone stayed outside and did not enter the palace. It was not that they did not want to go in, but the outer layer of the palace was covered with a green crystal-like light layer. It was extremely thick, and would not be that easy to break through. Sneering, the sword master Lu Xiaoyu attacked first. Once his great sword was taken out of its scabbard, sword qi spread out everywhere, cutting onto the green light layer. However, the green light layer did not make any noise. Instead, beams of soft and tough green silk shot out of the layer, battling with the sword qi. Although the sword qi was extremely sharp and had cut the green silk into pieces, the green silk kept coming back from the green light layer, so it did not have much of an effect. Bai Wushue's expression did not change as he said, "This is the palace's restrictive spell. Only by breaking it will we be able to enter. Everyone, let's attack together." As he spoke, Bai Wushue threw out a palm attack. That powerful palm power landed directly on the green light layer. All of a sudden, countless green silk shot out to cancel out that palm power, reducing it by 50 to 60%. With Lu Xiaoyu and Bai Wushue attacking, the rest of the warriors did not hesitate anymore. They all performed their martial arts and attacked the green light layer. Of course, no one used their ace attacks, since they were their ace attacks. Plus, there was no yuan qi in the 4th level world, and the Zhen yuan that was used up would be depleted sooner or later. If they used pellets to make up for it, it would not last long, and it might even lower the purity of the Zhen yuan. Chapter 634. When Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrived, there were already 20 people there. Besides the top 5 young warriors and Du Guju and the rest, they did not recognize most of them. But, judging from the way they were attacking the palace, they were no weaker than Lin Tian and Lan Xiecheng, and some of them were even more powerful. Seeing Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng arrive, a lot of people turned their heads to look at them. Yang Fengfeng and Chu Zhongtian were among them as well. Yang Fengfeng nodded at Yi Chen before continuing to attack the palace. "Let's attack as well." Yi Chen took out his gold sword and shot out a beam of sword qi toward the green light layer. Murong Qingcheng followed right behind him, throwing out a punch as well. Boom! 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 20 people worked together to attack the green light layer, which started to shake a little. There were patterns on the surface of the layer that looked like water. After a while, the green light layer did not seem to be broken at all. It seemed like it would be able to last for a long time. Before, everyone did not want to waste their Zhen yuan, but as time passed, they all started to realize that if it continued like this, it would only be a waste of Zhen yuan. So, they might as well use their ace attacks together to break through the green light layer. Right then, it was still Bai Wushue who stood out. He said, "Right now, we all know about the situation. If we do not use our ace attacks together, I am afraid that we will not be able to break through the restriction even after today. How about this? I will count to 3, and we will all work together to use our ace attacks. Does anyone have any objections?" "I agree. I have no objections. Let's do as you say." Bai Wushue's words had obviously been approved by everyone. Hearing him, Bai Wushue nodded. "All right. Everyone, get ready. 1, 2, 3. After Bai Wushue said those 3 words, the 20-odd people all executed their best moves. A huge ancient tree appeared around Bai Wushue. The ancient tree only had 1 branch. The branch gave off a bright green light, like a huge spike. When it struck the green light barrier, it exploded forth with a piercing green light. Xie Hozuan performed his comet finger with both of his hands. 2 millstone-sized comet finger power shot out, bringing up a bright flame tail as it landed on the green light shield. On the other hand, Lu Xiaoyu took a deep breath and unleashed 4 to 46 sword strikes in a row. Every single sword strike was powerful enough to split a mountain. When they were combined together, the momentum was vast, and the sword energy was peerless. Xiao Chuhe held the blade with both of his hands and groaned. The muscles on his chest expanded as he threw out a blade attack toward that green light layer, seeming to be able to split the ocean. The most mysterious godly shark princess's long hair danced in the wind. Her cold and elegant face did not contain a trace of emotion. She struck out with a godly shark fist force, which was indescribably fierce. Yi Chen, who was the furthest away, did not plan to get away with it. But of course, he would not perform his ace attack either. Instead, he performed his gold resonant radiance sword art. A mass of sword chi shot out, cutting on the green light layer and shattering a lot of the green strings. Murong Qingcheng did not have any ace attacks besides her sky demon finger, which would consume her special power. So, there was no need to waste it here. Therefore, she threw out a palm blade attack, the black blade power working with Yi Chen to attack the green light layer together. As for the rest of the people, they all performed their ace attacks together. Among them, Yang Fengfeng, Du Guju, Dan Tai Mingyu, and Bei Minghui were the most eye-catching ones. Among the top young warriors that they did not know, there were 2 or 3 powerful warriors who had attracted a lot of attention. Boom! 20 people performed their ace attacks together, which was extremely powerful. Without any exaggeration, even a half-step king warrior would have to avoid it, not daring to face it head-on. All of a sudden, the green light layer started to shake intensely, twisting crazily. After a loud explosion, the green light layer was shattered and turned into nothingness. It has been broken. Seeing that the green light layer had been broken, everyone relaxed a little. Shoo! Xia Hozuan was the fastest. The second the green light layer was broken, his whole body turned into a beam of gold light and shot out toward the open door of the palace. Seeing that Xia Hozuan had taken the lead, at least half of the people did not even think before pushing their Jin Yuan, turning into beams of light and flying over. Woo! 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 At this moment, 6 sparkling and translucent balls of light suddenly appeared in the air in front of the palace. The sparkling and translucent balls of light were arranged in a 6-way formation. After a slight tremble, they shot out streaks of translucent blades of air. The 6 balls of light combined together and shot out a large number of blades of air. They were densely packed and dazzling. Dang! Being caught off guard, Xia Hozuan was hit by 7 to 8 chi blades. The attacking power of these chi blades was extremely powerful, much more powerful than the treasure light in the 3rd floor. It was almost equivalent to 80% of a top master level warrior's attack. Therefore, even Xia Hozuan had to back out dozens of steps, his face turning pale a little. Seeing that there were even more chi blades coming at him, Xia Hozuan's expression finally changed. Point at the sky. Using his finger power, Xia Hozuan drew a circle around his body. That transparent space pattern was attracted out of his body, blocking out the chi blades. Using the space pattern to protect his body, Xia Hozuan pushed his Jin Yuan and entered the palace through those chi blades. The people following behind him did not have it that good. How they had gone in and how they had come back, they were all in a bad shape. Everyone, be careful. Bai Wuxue was rather kind. After reminding the crowd, his figure flashed as he flew towards the palace's doors. Along the way, the chi blades attacked him frantically. However, they were all blocked by the shield of life, unable to injure him at all. Thus, he became the 2nd person to enter the palace. Then, Lu Xiaoyu and Xiao Chuhe also entered the palace. However, the godly shark princess that Yi Chen had seen for the first time was extremely powerful. She had used her protective Jin Yuan to get into the palace. It was not hard to tell how powerful her defense was. Yi Chen, I will go first. Yang Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled in the world. That blue flame flashed once, and her whole body traveled through the dense chi blades. Occasionally, there would be 1 or 2 chi blades that got close to her, but they would all be shattered by her claw attack. In the next second, her body had already disappeared into the palace door. More and more people had entered. Du Guju, Dan Tai Mingyu, and Bei Minghui had all entered. Those powerful young warriors that he did not know had also entered the palace. There were less than 10 people left. Let's go in. You follow behind me. If Murong Qingcheng used her demon power essence, those chi blades would be nothing. But Yi Chen would not let her use her demon power essence. Ting! Ting. Dang. Dang. Then, a strange scene happened. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng rushed toward the gate of the palace one after another. Yi Chen, who was in the front, had an unimaginably fast sword art. He waved out his sword, and in the situation where no sword shadow could be seen, all of the chi blades had been sliced open, unable to get close to him. Meanwhile, Murong Qingcheng followed behind him like a shadow. Shoo! The second they got close to the door, Murong Qingcheng flapped her black bat wings and flashed into the palace. Yi Chen saw Murong Qingcheng enter, so his body turned into a sword light, traveling through the gaps between the chi blades. Eventually, he arrived at the door of the palace and stepped in. Using sword arts to block out the chi blades. The remaining 7 or 8 young warriors looked at each other. The attacking speed of the chi blades was so fast that the rest of them could only rely on defense to enter the palace. Only Yi Chen had relied on his sword arts. Lin Tian's face was full of bitterness. It seemed like it would be impossible for him to get back at Yi Chen. Yi Chen's improvement was so fast that he could not catch up at all. Lan Xieching, who had also lost to Yi Chen, squinted his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 635. This is the inside of the palace. The situation inside the palace was different from what Yi Chen had expected. He was only one step slower than Murong Qingcheng, and when he entered, he could not see Murong Qingcheng anymore. Besides Murong Qingcheng, no one else could be seen. What was in front of him was a tunnel that was sealed off from all sides, giving off an oppressive feeling. Looking back, he could not see the door of the palace at all. It seemed like he had suddenly appeared in a tunnel. There was a tunnel in front of him, and there was another tunnel behind him. Strange. Yi Chen frowned as his forehead popped up and he let out his soul power. 100 meters, 200 meters, 500 meters. The restriction of soul power inside the palace was surprisingly strong. With Yi Chen's soul power that was 5 times more powerful than normal people's, it could only cover 500 meters, which was 250 meters in radius. If it were a normal person, it would only cover 100 meters. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen withdrew his soul power and thought to himself, within 500 meters, there are countless tunnels. It is like a maze, and the walls are about 1 meter thick. I wonder how strong they are. Taking out his gold sword, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack on the wall on his left. Shoo! A sword mark that was a couple of inches deep was left on the wall, and the silver powder was scattered everywhere. Normal attacks are almost useless. Indeed, if he performed his ace attacks, the power would be a couple of times more powerful than normal attacks. But Yi Chen did not know where he was exactly. Even if he managed to break through the wall, it would be like going from one tunnel to another, which would be pointless. Never mind, I will explore the way first. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen walked toward the tunnel in front of him. Why is there so many tunnels in this palace? Where should I go? Sichu Hao was a top young warrior who had just started to show up. Although the Sichu family that he was from was not as powerful as the top 4 families, it was still a rank 5 family with thousands of years of history. This time, the opening of the 4th floor of the tower was a rare opportunity for him. As long as he could get his hands on a semi-extreme rank item, his power would increase even more. Besides the top 5 young warriors, no one else would be able to compete with him, including the number 1 warrior under the top 5 young warriors, Yi Chen. I already have a semi-extreme grade greatsword, so I just need a semi-extreme grade defensive armor. Semi-extreme grade attacking artifacts were not that rare, unless it was some gloves or the like. However, semi-extreme grade defensive artifacts were definitely rare. Even a rank 5 power might not have one. The passageway was not a straight line, but rather a winding one. After turning a corner, Sichu Hao kept walking. When he reached the end, he naturally turned again. Is it a room? A joyful expression flashed through Sichu Hao's face. In his sight, there was a door 300 meters ahead on the left side, with a dim light shining out from inside. There must be an artifact. I hope it's a semi-extreme grade defensive artifact. His heart was beating fast for a couple of times. Sichu Hao swallowed his saliva and quickly walked towards the door of the room. Not good, there are footsteps. Sichu Hao heard the footsteps, which were very close. The next second, a young man in blue robes walked out from the corner, less than 10 meters away from the door. Room. It was indeed Yi Chen. He had been walking in the passageway for a long time, and had almost gotten dizzy. He was not walking in this direction at first, but after hearing the light footsteps, he walked over. And the footsteps that he had heard were naturally Sichu Hao's. Yi Chen, right? I found this room first. In order to avoid trouble, you should leave as soon as possible. Sichu Hao had naturally never seen Yi Chen before, but he had heard people describe Yi Chen's appearance. For example, blue robes were one of the symbols of Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "Everyone who enters the palace is looking for treasures. Seeing the treasures does not mean that they are yours. Plus, you haven't even seen the treasures yet. It seems like you have never heard that one more friend is better than one more enemy." Sichu Hao's face darkened as he placed his right hand on the sword handle. His palm slowly tightened, and that sharp sword aura shot out toward Yi Chen, who was right in front of him. Whether we are friends or not, it is not up to me to decide. It should be between the two of us. Yi Chen could tell that this Sichu Hao was one of the most powerful warriors among the top young warriors, and he would probably not be weaker than Beiming Hui. This time, the opening of the 4th floor of the tower had attracted all of the top young warriors who had been hiding in the dark. So, he did not dare to be careless, since some of the more powerful ace attacks would still be quite threatening. All right. Everyone says that you are the number 1 warrior just below the top 5 young warriors. Today, I, Sichu Hao, will see if you have the right to be called that. 3 Extreme Sword. Sichu Hao's first attack was already his ace attack. He took out his long sword and waved it out. 3 beams of sword chi interweaved together, filling up the whole tunnel. Besides, Yi Chen could vaguely sense that there were thousands of strands of sword chi interweaved together like silk. Luckily, his perception was powerful enough. Otherwise, if he tried to pass through those gaps, he would be in big trouble for sure. Gold pattern. Yi Chen did not intend to fight for a long time either, so he also used his ace attack. The gentle gold pattern was like a stone being thrown into a lake, spreading out and clashing with the sword chi that had been intertwined together. Boom. There were only 2 sides of the tunnel that could release their power. Waiting for that aggressive blast wave to explode, Yi Chen took out a top-rank shield and held it in front of him. However, Sichu Hao did not have it that easy. The gold pattern was obviously way more powerful and aggressive than his 3 ultimate sword attack. It had shattered his ace attack instantly. Although the gold pattern was not as powerful because of that, most of the shockwave from the collision of the 2 attacks was still directed towards him. Pooh! Before he could do anything else, Sichu Hao was blown away into the sky, puking out a huge chunk of blood onto the top of the tunnel. Defensive sword spell. Something shocking happened. Sichu Hao, who had been blown away, suddenly performed a sword spell and pointed out his finger at Yi Chen. As he pointed out his finger, a sword on his back automatically came out of its scabbard. With a lightning-fast speed, it flashed out and stabbed toward Yi Chen. The flying sword was way too fast, faster than most people's reaction time. If it were not Yi Chen, but some other top young warrior, there would be more than a 70% chance of being killed, and the remaining 30% would be severely wounded. What? Defensive sword spell. Yi Chen was shocked. As someone who had traveled from this world with his soul, he was very clear about the concept of the defensive sword spell. He had always thought that it was the power of a sword god. After the shock, Yi Chen performed his spiritual sword attack instinctively. Ting! A clashing sound was heard in the air. Sichu Hao's deadly attack had been broken by Yi Chen. My defensive sword spell has been broken? Impossible. The smile on Sichu Hao's face froze. He had already planned that even if his 3 ultimate sword could not do anything to Yi Chen, with his defensive sword spell, he would be able to wound him severely and kill him. However, he did not expect that Yi Chen's gold pattern would be this powerful, and it had even wounded him quite badly. But it did not matter, since performing the defensive sword spell in this situation would be even more effective. However, he had miscalculated. Yi Chen's spiritual sword attack was extremely fast, and even his flying sword had been broken by 1 sword attack. Run! Without thinking about anything else, Sichu Hao did not wait for his body to land on the ground. He pushed out his Jin Yuan and flew out the way he came from, turning into a series of shadows. Yi Chen did not chase after him. Sichu Hao's flying sword was way too fast, and Yi Chen had performed his spiritual sword attack without any preparation. His qi and blood were a bit weak, and it would be impossible for him to perform it a second time. Besides the spiritual sword attack, none of his ace attacks would be able to stop Sichu Hao right away, since the distance between the two of them was too far. The defensive sword spell seems to be a bit different. In the beginning, Yi Chen was indeed startled. If it were the real defensive sword spell, he might have to use all of his power to deal with it. However, his opponent's defensive sword spell was not that powerful, and it was not that flexible. It could only fly in a straight line, just like a shuriken. Only its attacking power was slightly more powerful than a shuriken. The real defensive sword spell could be controlled with one's mind. Not only would it be extremely fast, it would also be able to turn in the air and attack the enemy from any angle. In this situation, unless one's defense was high enough, one would have to rely on speed to deal with it. Even if it were Yi Chen, he would have to use all of his power. But obviously, Sichu Hao's defensive sword spell was different from what Yi Chen knew. It had the power, but it was not flexible enough. Of course, there was still a connection between the two. No matter if it was Sichu Hao's defensive sword spell or the one that Yi Chen knew, they were both essentially the same. The flying sword contained Jin Yuan, which would then be activated by the soul power. Laughing at himself, Yi Chen mumbled to himself, "Warriors are warriors, and sword immortals are sword immortals. I am making a big deal out of nothing. Even if there were real sword immortals, they would not be able to do much." The profound sense that the warriors from the true spirit continent had learned might not be any weaker than what I had imagined. Seriously, once a warrior from the true spirit continent reaches the Sea of Souls realm, which one of them would not have the power to break mountains? Once they reach the life and death realm, they would even have the power to break the surreal world. Plus, this is not the end yet. Calming himself down, Yi Chen started to walk into the room. The room was not that big, and there was a stone platform in the middle. A light sphere was floating on top of it, and inside it was a sky blue armor. Semi-extreme rank armor? Yi Chen was not sure, since the vibration of the armor had been blocked out by the light sphere. He could not tell the quality of the armor from the outside. Pop! He threw out a punch toward the light sphere, and a white dragon bone defensive layer appeared on the surface of his fist. The light sphere was shattered, and the sky blue armor landed on Yi Chen's hand. Boom! The intense vibration from the weapon had almost shaken up the entire space. This vibration was a couple of times more powerful than normal top-rank weapons. Only a semi-extreme rank weapon would have this kind of vibration. It is indeed a semi-extreme rank armor. Yi Chen let out a breath. Let's make the soul mark first. Only with the soul mark, the armor would be able to bring out its full potential. With this armor, Yi Chen's weakness in defense would be completely gone. Because of his talent in the soul, Yi Chen's speed of making the soul mark was very fast. In less than 10 minutes, this sky blue armor had completely become Yi Chen's personal property. Chapter 636. Muddy Sky Armor. Good name. After the soul imprint was done, Yi Chen learned the name of the armor from the inside. Let's see how it works. There were differences between different armors. Some focused on frontal defense, while the side and back were weaker. Some focused on defense and reducing the impact. Taking off the gold armor, Yi Chen put on the Muddy Sky armor. Woo! Activating his Jin Yuan, a transparent eggshell qi cover appeared outside of Yi Chen's body. It was his protective Jin Yuan. Then, the patterns on the surface of the armor lit up. Twisted blue symbols fused with the protective Jin Yuan, seeming to have been branded on the armor without any blind spots. Yeah, it is a comprehensive defense. There are no weak spots or protruding spots. It is quite even. Yi Chen had more or less understood the features of the Muddy Sky armor. Although the Muddy Sky armor did not have any weak spots or protruding spots, Yi Chen was quite satisfied. With the muddy sky armor on the outside and the dragon bone defensive layer on the inside, not only did his defensive weakness disappear completely, it had also been strengthened a lot. Of course, Yi Chen also knew that for warriors, defense would never be as important as offense. Very few people would waste a lot of time on studying defensive martial arts. Because of this, defensive weapons were so important. They could allow warriors to attack without any worries, and they could fight back with their attacks. Damn it! How could this guy break my defensive sword spell? Even if his sword speed is fast, he should not be able to react in time. Sichu Hao performed his body art and moved at a high speed in the tunnel. After flying for a quarter of an hour, Sichu Hao finally stopped. Boom! Punching the wall, Sichu Hao's face was full of unwillingness. My Imperial Sword technique is a secret sword technique that I obtained from the ancient ruins 3 months ago. I have never used it in front of others. I thought that the first time I used the Imperial Sword technique, it would have a miraculous effect, but I didn't expect to face my first failure. The defensive sword spell was not an inherited secret art of the Sichu family. It was something that Sichu Hao had found in an ancient ruin. After 3 months of hard training, he had finally mastered the defensive sword spell, which made him extremely confident. He thought that he could beat any one of the top 5 young warriors, and even the top 5 young warriors might not be able to beat him easily. Yi Chen, I'll remember you. However, don't think that just because you beat me once, you can beat me a second time. The Imperial Sword technique has a total of 3 levels. I've only cultivated to the first level. When I reach the second level, I'll use it to defeat you. His cold voice echoed in the tunnel as Sichu Hao's body disappeared. From here to the room 1,000 meters away, you have to go around a series of walls before you can reach the east side of the room. The golden vertical eye closed, and Murong Qingcheng let out a sigh of relief. She walked towards the back of the passage, and after going around in circles, she finally arrived at the passage that was connected to the room. Interesting. Can she see through walls? Around the corner, a small snake slithered out. It was a puppet snake, covered in a layer of snakeskin. It looked no different from a real snake, but the only difference was that it did not have any life force. The red snake eyes moved around twice, imprinting Murong Qingcheng's back into its eyes. A few hundred meters away, Xia Hozuan smiled lightly as he walked over. Here. Murong Qingcheng arrived outside the room. Achem. With her sensitive senses, Murong Qingcheng could hear a slight footstep sound. It was at least a few hundred meters away from where she was. If it were other people, they would not be able to hear it from hundreds of meters away. It was not that warriors' hearing was not as good as normal people's, but this tunnel not only restricted soul power, but also had a powerful soundproofing effect. Normally, 100 meters would be the hearing limit of Sea of Souls realm warriors. The reason why Murong Qingcheng could hear it was because she had a demon body, which made her 5 senses much more powerful than normal people. Frowning, Murong Qingcheng suddenly pointed out her finger. A beam of black finger power shot out, shattering the puppet snake in the corner. After doing all this, Murong Qingcheng walked into the room. A few hundred meters away, Xia Hozuan's face darkened. The puppet snake was nothing to him, but he had always been used to being on top. Even if it was someone's unintentional disobedience, it would still make him unhappy. There were only 4 people that he could treat as equals. The rest of them did not even have the right to be on the same level as him. On top of the stone platform in the middle of the room, there was a light ball floating in the air. Inside the light ball was a pair of purple and black gloves. Although the energy vibration of the gloves had been blocked out by the light ball, there was still a powerful aura leaking out, bringing out a sound like a tiger's roar. Such an aggressive chi. Normally, the chi of an attacking item would be more aggressive than a defensive item, which was the difference between the 2 types. Pop! Poking out the light ball with her finger, Murong Qingcheng reached out her hand and grabbed onto the purple and black gloves. The gloves were soft to the touch, and a heart-wrenching power invaded through Murong Qingcheng's palm. Shoo! Murong Qingcheng pushed her demon power, easily cancelling out that power. Then, she poured it into the gloves, letting the gloves get used to its future owner. Branding the soul mark would take a lot of time. If I use it now, I should be able to bring out 60 to 70% of its power. But it should be enough. Murong Qingcheng would not forget that she was being followed, and that a big battle would be inevitable. A semi-extreme rank item was indeed a semi-extreme rank item, especially a semi-extreme rank attacking item. In order to make the energy within it not reject the user, it would take some time to get used to it. Of course, it would not take too long, and it would depend on the user's situation. Obviously, this pair of gloves liked Murong Qingcheng's demon power. Besides the resistance at the beginning, it had been very cooperative. Pap, pap. The sound of footsteps arrived outside the room. Soon, a human figure appeared at the door. It was a man in gold robes with a gold crown on his head. That aggressive aura was almost real. Who else could it be other than Xia Hozhuan? Seeing that it was Xia Hozhuan, Murong Qingcheng's expression changed a little. If it were people like Lin Tian, then she would not be afraid at all. Even if it were people like Beiming Hui, she would have the confidence to drag it out for a while before leaving smoothly. But Xia Hozhuan was not like Lin Tian, nor was he like Beiming Hui or Dugu Ju. He was one of the top 5 young warriors. Oh, such an evil pair of gloves. Xia Hozhuan was a bit disappointed. What he really cared about was a semi-extreme rank defensive item. He already had a semi-extreme rank pair of gloves. Put it down, and you can go now. But obviously, Xia Hozhuan had not reached the point where he could ignore a semi-extreme rank item. A semi-extreme rank item, even if he did not use it himself, could still be used as his own wealth or capital. Sometimes, he could even trade it for something he wanted. Plus, it seemed like this pair of gloves was a bit better than his own. Just that evil chi alone was enough to make it stand out from the rest. Sorry, this pair of gloves. I like it a lot. Murong Qingcheng put on the gloves slowly. They were originally a bit big, but they seemed to be able to change according to her will. They shrunk until they were just the right size. It did not feel like a burden on her hand at all. Xia Hozhuan chuckled lightly. If Yang Fengfeng dared to go against him, then it would still be reasonable, since her speed was unparalleled in the world. Plus, her original form was a blue phoenix. He might be able to suppress her, but it would be impossible for him to kill her. So, everything that Murong Qingcheng had done was out of his expectation. Hehe, if you like this pair of gloves, then fine. How about this, you give up on that Yi Chen guy and follow me. I promise that whatever you want, I will give you. Xia Hozhuan's attitude changed as he said. Murong Qingcheng tightened her fists and looked up. Give up on him and choose you? Why? Not to mention our relationship, judging on power and talent, I do not think you have any advantage. Hearing her, Xia Hozhuan felt like he had just heard the biggest joke in the world. This is the first time I have been looked down upon, especially by a woman. But, just because of what you said, I will beat him half to death this time. Xia Hozhuan had never thought much of Yi Chen, including people like Dugu Ju and the rest. What kind of monster, what kind of martial geniuses were all nonsense. Only those people who had nothing better to do would talk about it. But before that, you should let me take care of this pair of gloves first. Shoo. A gold light flashed once as Xia Hozhuan approached Murong Qingcheng at an extreme speed, pointing out his finger at her. Swoosh. The massive black bat wings spread out, and Murong Qingcheng almost flew out from within the finger power. Do you think you can run away? Xia Hozhuan was halfway there when he twisted his body, performing his star nuclear finger art. That endless gravitational force landed on Murong Qingcheng's body, pulling her closer. Darkness sky. Murong Qingcheng's expression did not change as she waved her right hand. Her purple gold gloves shone once, and a layer of black screen appeared in front of her. Crack. The black screen twisted drastically before shattering. But Murong Qingcheng had also used this opportunity to get to the door of the room. Hey! Dark profound. Xia Hozhuan was a bit surprised. The star nuclear finger art was his ace attack, and it had worked every single time. Even Yang Fengfeng with her horrifying beast Yuan would have a hard time dealing with it. But he did not expect that the dark profound that Murong Qingcheng had performed could block out the gravitational force. Since she did not have a deep understanding of the dark profound, her ace attack had been broken by the gravitational force. Interesting. Shoo, 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 shoo. He looked a bit more serious as he shot out dozens of finger power. The bright starlight filled up the whole room. The finger power was extremely fast, and Murong Qingcheng had just put up her darkness sky when she started to defend passively. Boom. The darkness sky was shattered once again, and Murong Qingcheng used the momentum to fly out. A couple of finger power scratched through her purple dress, revealing the inner layer of her leather armor. You will not be able to get away. Drawing finger art. Not many people knew that this finger art could not only be used as a defensive ace art, but it could also be used to lock people down. But, facing powerful enemies like Bai Wuxue, it would not be of much use, which was why Xie Hozuan had never used it before. Xie Hozuan reached out his left index finger and drew a couple of times in the air. The space around Murong Qingcheng suddenly started to vibrate, forming a layer of space pattern. Chapter 637. Boom. The speed of the space pattern was so fast that Murong Qingcheng could not react in time. Her back landed on it, and her face turned pale as she puked out a mouthful of blood. I have to use my demon power essence now. A beam of gold light appeared in her eyes as a huge amount of black light poured out of Murong Qingcheng's body. It was like a crystal thread, extremely condensed. That seemingly indestructible space pattern was shattered immediately after being hit by the black light, looking like a massive mirror exploding in the air. What? Xie Hozuan's expression froze. The purity of that black light was unbelievably high, and it would be impossible for a Sea of Souls realm warrior to have this kind of horrifying power. Even a half-step king warrior would be lacking a little bit. However, it was obvious that she could not control such a high purity power, which had caused the power to be diluted. Otherwise, the space pattern would not have been shattered. Who is she? Watching Murong Qingcheng leave the room and come to the tunnel, Xie Hozuan thought to himself. I can only use my demon power essence to increase my speed. If I increase my attack power, although it would be able to threaten her, it would only make her look worse. Once it drags on, she would not be able to run away even if she wanted to. It was not that Murong Qingcheng had not thought about using her demon power essence to kill her, but it was obviously not possible. It would be hard for her to even wound her badly. If it were someone like Lin Tian, then she would be able to kill her with one attack, since she could only control her demon power essence for a second. Once it exceeded that second, she would be attacked, and she would need to wait for a couple of seconds before she could continue using it. Plus, at her peak, she could only use it 3 times at most. Of course, with the help of her demon power essence, Murong Qingcheng was confident that even Yang Fengfeng's speed would not be as fast as hers. Shoo! Like a twisting black lightning, Murong Qingcheng's body twisted in the air and shot out toward the left side of the tunnel. The turning point even left behind a vivid image. Boom! Inside the room, a huge golden light exploded, as if a golden sun had appeared out of nowhere. Xie Hozuan's speed had been pushed to its peak as he jumped out of the room. At the same time, he reached out his right index finger and pointed at the wall on the other side of the door. Boom! Boom! The wall had been pierced through, leaving only a thin layer. Point at the heavens, draw the earth. Forming a circle of space pattern around his body, Xie Hozuan roared as he crashed through the wall, arriving on the other side. Not good. Murong Qingcheng turned in a circle. She had just passed by this place when she felt a strong wind blowing behind her. Rocks were flying everywhere as Xie Hozuan's body turned real. Speed up. Murong Qingcheng pushed her demon power essence again, increasing her speed by 5 to 6 times. With this kind of speed, even Yang Fengfeng would not be able to compete with her. The only unfortunate thing was that the place was not big enough, so her speed could not be maximized. Once she reached the corner, she would have to turn, which would decrease her speed and waste time. Breaking through the wall would be even worse, since it would give Xie Hozuan time to catch up with her, and he would be able to break through the wall. Plus, it was already her second time using her demon power essence. But even so, Murong Qingcheng had still managed to throw Xie Hozuan thousands of meters away, and it was only because of the terrain. If it were in the sky without any obstacles, she would be able to throw Xie Hozuan 60 to 70 miles away. Even that half-step king warrior could not do anything to her speed. In this tunnel, the faster you are, the more limited you will be. It would be impossible for you to move at high speed for a long time. Let me see how many times you can use your power. Xia Hozuan could no longer sense Murong Qingqing's existence, but he was not in a hurry. As he flew, he shot out his soul power. At the same time, there were a lot of puppet snakes moving around in the corners of the tunnel, watching over the surroundings. Found it. Xia Hozuan had found Murong Qingqing through one of the puppet snakes. Boom. Murong Qingqing had also found the puppet snake, shattering it with one finger attack. However, she had not flown far before she found another one. So many puppet snakes. Murong Qingqing did not look too good. Crack. A wall had been broken down, and Xia Hozuan had taken a shortcut, shortening the distance by a couple of times. In this maze-like tunnel, the shortcut would allow him to catch up with Murong Qingqing faster, even if her speed was faster than his. It was the advantage of having a high attacking power. He could tell that she could not use that kind of power for a long time, otherwise, he would not be able to catch up. The demon power essence had already disappeared, and Murong Qingqing was moving with her own speed. In terms of personal speed, she was still a bit faster than Xia Hozuan, but he did not want to compete with her. As more and more walls had been broken down, the distance between the two had gotten a lot closer. There's only one more usage left. Murong Qingqing's pretty eyebrows frowned a little. Suddenly, she thought of something, so she took out a jade tag from her storage ring and poured her demon power into it. It seems like Beiming Hui is not ready for a battle with me yet. He chose to run away right after seeing me. Is he afraid that I will kill him? Yi Chen found it a bit funny. Just before, he had seen Beiming Hui in the tunnel. It was obvious that he was a bit scared of Yi Chen, afraid that Yi Chen might try to kill him. After all, when he and Yi Chen battled, there were a lot of people there. And inside the palace, no one would know if he was killed. Moving at a moderate speed, Yi Chen released his soul power. Within 500 meters, not even the slightest movement could escape from his perception. Yi Chen's expression changed as he took out a jade tag from his storage ring. An arrow lit up on it, and the direction of the arrow was moving slightly. It is Murong. Yi Chen could not help but increase his speed as he moved toward the direction of the arrow. He thought to himself, this jade tag is a one-time use item. She would not use it unless it was a critical moment. Could it be that there is some kind of danger? No, she is moving at high speed. Is someone chasing her? Thinking about the problem, 5 beams of sword light appeared outside of Yi Chen's body. The sword light carried Yi Chen's body as he traveled through the tunnel at an extreme speed. Because of his powerful soul power, Yi Chen could always change his direction at every turn. If there were someone who had the same speed as Yi Chen in this maze, they would definitely be left behind by Yi Chen for miles. Shoo! The sword light kept flashing in the tunnel. Yi Chen's ability to change his direction was so good that it could numb people's scalps. He knew exactly when to slow down and when to speed up. You cannot get away. Xia Hozuan's voice came out of a puppet snake's mouth. Murong Qingqing sneered as she shattered the puppet snake with a finger power. She had shattered at least dozens of them, and she wondered where her opponent had gotten so many of them. Boom! The wall not far behind her had been broken through. Xia Hozuan, who was in his gold robes, looked extremely powerful. That rich and aggressive aura spread out everywhere. Even if you can run for a while, can you run for your whole life? There is no exit in this maze. Only when the palace disappears will you be teleported out. Xia Hozuan had finally sensed Murong Qingqing's figure. There were 2 walls between the two, and one of them was right in front of him. Void-shattering finger. That massive golden finger had broken through 1/3 of the wall. Xia Hozuan threw out both of his fingers, and 2 comet finger powers landed on the same spot. The next second, he appeared on the other side of the wall with a cloud of dust. Perhaps I have to use my demon power essence for the last time? Murong Qingqing looked hesitant. No. Even if I use my demon power essence, I will not be able to get away from her. It would just be a waste. I might as well use it to fight back. After making up her mind, Murong Qingqing stopped moving. Her body floated in the tunnel as the massive black bat wings on her back were extended to their limit. I am not moving anymore. Shia Hozuan had a bad feeling about this, so he secretly performed his finger drawing art, shielding his body under the space pattern. Then, he threw out 4 comet finger powers in a row, breaking through the wall. The second the wall was broken, that horrifying black light poured out. Sky Demon Finger. This time, it was not a normal Sky Demon Finger, but one that contained the demon power essence. A fist-sized black light ball shot out, going through the hole in the wall and landing right in front of Shia Hozuan. That intense demon power vibration made Shia Hozuan's pupils shrink to their limit. You are looking for death. Shia Hozuan roared as he reached out his left index finger, pointing out his void-shattering finger. At the same time, his body backed out quickly while a top-rank shield appeared in front of him. Boom! The massive black light ball exploded, and inside the light ball, the gold light spread out. The walls and tunnels around them started to crack under that shockwave. Some of the cracks were 1/2 meter deep, and if it were any deeper, the walls would have cracked completely. In the center of the explosion, there was a 10 meters wide and 1 meter deep hole. It should be known that this was a maze tunnel, and the walls and ground were extremely hard. It would already be impressive if a normal attack could leave a crack on it. Only people at the level of Yi Chen or the top 5 young warriors would be able to do it. Pooh! The top-rank shield in his hand was twisted out of shape as Shia Hozuan puked out a huge chunk of blood. His whole body landed on the wall not far away from him, causing the wall to shake and dust to fly everywhere. You are looking for death. Shia Hozuan was shocked and angry at the same time. It was the first time that he had seen someone who could twist his top-rank shield and break through his finger-drawing art, and it was still under the condition of the void-shattering finger art. Seeing Murong Qingcheng puking out a couple of mouthfuls of blood and looking pale, Shia Hozuan knew that she had already reached her limit. The possibility of her using that kind of power was very slim. Shoo! The gold light flashed once, and Yi Chen appeared in the tunnel where Murong Qingcheng was. I only wanted to take back that pair of gloves before, but now, I do not think that way anymore. An evil look flashed past Shia Hozuan's face. His opponent had wounded him, which was something that could not be tolerated. God only knew how long it had been since he had been wounded by Wuxue. Boom! Boom! Right at that moment, the wall next to the two suddenly shook twice, and cracks appeared all over the place. A crazy sword intent ignored the wall's isolation and seeped in, filling the air with killing intent. Boom! Another vibration occurred, and the cracks on the wall looked like huge mouths, twisting and spreading out. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.